It is time. It is the hour. The hour is upon us.
It's good that we let off with that, because yeah.
Mm.
Hi everybody. I hope Jen will be back shortly. She's a little MIA. I'm actually right this time. It is Saturday. It's not a Wednesday when we don't normally do our show, and I'm talking shit about Jen. There's a whole bunch of confusion on my part. But in the interim, you can sit and talk with myself and my special guest today, Jackgunski. Hey, Jack.
Hey, I noticed that I gotta go, so I'm gonna be gone for the rest of the stream. I'll talk to you later.
Are you fucking with me? I can hear you trying to hold it in, and I'm like, I can't really tell if he's actually trying to fuck with me or not. Oh, whatever. I'll do the show by myself. Fuck all y'all.
Oh boy, that was great.
How dare you?
Yeah, you get a Greta for that one. Oh boy.
Man.
And, to lead off the show, I'm just going to fully admit I'm pulling a Jen. I ordered a pizza right before the show, and it'll show up, when it shows up in the middle of this fucking blizzard that we're having. I can't,
What kind of
I
pizza
can't,
is it?
I can't see past my balcony because it's just like the snow is so thick. Well, Elwyn got herself pepperoni mushroom, and I got myself a Chicago-style bacon and broccoli.
Just make a quiche, man. Get one from the store. I mean, you're in Canada. They should sell quiche.
What
there.
part of I can't even see past my balcony do you not understand? That's why we ordered pizza. Because the alternative was to go out and get some groceries today. But no, fuck that. Our apartment, I don't know, it's really weird. The heat doesn't like to work when it's this cold. We have a baseboard heating system. What do you call it? Water pipes that heat up. I don't know. It's an older building, so it's not. It's good because then we don't have to pay the electric bill on that. It just sort of runs.
Yeah, I think it was last year. I got this thing that was for drying out boots, and you'd put your boots upside down on top of this machine and it would blow hot air into it. And I tried that last year, and it kept my room warm all winter. It was great.
Yeah, but again, I don't really want to pay the electric bill on that. Oops, what the hell is wrong with my... Why? Oh, stupid OBS. It's probably not OBS's fault. It's probably my fault, but I wasn't paying attention and accidentally clicked on something and moved things around, so everything's a little weird right now. Let me just quickly fix that, because I like being have a little modicum of professionality, even though, whatever. So yeah, I think we'll just, since it's already up, start talking about some things. The first thing is, and it's not really been in the news, especially with, impeachment, blah, 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 this and that, all the other stuff that's going on in the world. People aren't really talking about the huge news. Not to say other things like the Australian wildfires and all this other stuff isn't huge news, but it's pretty huge that a volcano erupted in the Philippines, and my God, is this like God's cursed country or what? First they get massive tsunamis, and now this. And it wasn't really the volcano itself that did all the damage. It was the after effect, the ash everywhere. It blanketed huge portions of the Philippines. Play a little bit of the video. It's just people rummaging through. You can see, it looks like, a heavy snowfall, but that's ash and dirt and just whole nastiness. Here, you can see the houses. I know you can't see it right away, Jack, but for people on the stream, you can see there's a good couple feet of just solid dirt and ash everywhere. finding people, animals that are still alive, entire communities ruined, and they don't have the types of facilities and infrastructure that we do in the West. People have to dig themselves out of this, and come together as communities. There's gonna be help. You can see crops just completely destroyed, entire swaths of farmland completely. Like, this is something that's not being talked about and is going to be felt for years to come. You can see people living in stuff that actually survived, and basically just setting up little sleeping areas in cardboard boxes. It's really, really something not being talked about, and it's really kind of an interesting case study for me that it's not being talked about, and I'm wondering why this isn't being talked about as much as other things.
I can tell you the reason for that. Nobody gives a shit about anywhere that's outside of like English speaking areas. Nobody cares, and
Yeah,
it's
that's
kind
one
of
of my first
tragic.
thoughts.
If you don't speak the same language, if you don't look like a sympathetic person, nobody really cares. There could be a million people that die in China tomorrow, and nobody is gonna care, because China will probably care, but
Well, I think we'll probably hear about it because it is China, and China's sort of like the current. Excuse me. Excuse me. Jesus. Hi, Jen. Not working too good. Okay, yeah, no problem. No worries. What's it? Oh my God! 1 second, I'm having a coughing fit.
I actually got one of those earlier. I had to excuse myself.
Oh boy, sorry about that, folks. I think it's because it's actually starting to warm up in here, so the heater probably turned on and it's changing the air really quick. Oh wow! Oh God, I can't hold on.
I won't lie, I'm not exactly great at filling dead air.
Oh, no worries. You shouldn't have to feel any obligation to cover my Oh my God.
Let's see. I can't really do a soft shoe. This is radio.
Oh man, it's fine. Again, it's fine. No pressure. Sorry, everybody, for the dead air, but
Do you need a glass of water or something? Because you could just take a moment and get a glass of water. Just saying. Ellen says, also, the radiator is full of dust and grime because they don't clean the vents in the apartment. Yeah. I'm telling you, air purifiers are wonderful things.
we have one that also doubles as an air conditioner unit. It's just the power draw is really immense, and oh God, I still kind of have a little tickle in my throat.
So,
woo! So what?
Functional's getting pizza tonight. All of you out in the audience, what are you having for dinner? I may be having burritos.
Ooh, what kind of burritos?
The burrito-y kind. Let's see. Meat,
Ground
refried
beef or chicken or
Oh, it's a mix. It's a mix of ground beef and ground pork. And that
sounds
has
good.
kind of a nice flavor. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's
And,
that's the traditional hamburger combination.
is it? I just thought it was beef, but then
Well, you can get 100% beef burgers, but typically to allow it to maintain a certain amount of fattiness and moisture, you'll typically mix ground beef with pork, or they'll sell it in trays at your grocer, because it just helps with the process, and it if you do it properly and sear the outside before finishing your fucking burger. Why can't I talk? Oh yeah, probably because I'm coughing so much. Then you just get the perfect burger, because you want a little bit of that crust on the outside, not charred, but a crust.
Elowin suggests octopus burritos. No.
I like octopus. I like octopus. But yeah, to finish off the story, there's a map of the Philippines, and you can see the volcanoes right there by Manila, their capital. That's the red triangle there. And if you look all these black triangles, this is why I call it God's forsaken land, because all these black triangles are also active fucking volcanoes. So, they're out in the middle of the ocean in between China and Australia and littered with active volcanoes.
Yeah, they're part of the
I can
Ring
see
of
why
Fire.
there was a mass exodus of Pinoys from the Philippines to, well, the rest of the world. You find large sweeping communities of Filipino people all over the world with good reason. They're getting away from their forsaken homeland, which, fuck, I wouldn't want to live surrounded by 20 some odd active volcanoes and just recently having some semblance of normalcy after the tsunami as well.
Normalcy's not a word.
Okay.
It was coined by
normality then.
Yeah, normality. Normalcy was coined by former President Harding's re-election, or was it his re-election, or was it just his election campaign? He had promised a return to normalcy, and that wasn't a word because they had made it up.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes some semblance of sense then. I don't.
You don't care. I know.
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that I don't care. I mean, I kind of do care because, I like the English language. I like, but a word that has integrated itself into the common parlance, kind of gets lost. I'm not, I'm old, but I'm not that old in that, language changes every generation. Unfortunately for some.
That's true, but I refuse to acknowledge a word that was created by politicians. even if it was in the 1920s.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess best wishes to people trying to survive that kind of shit. But yeah, life sucks. Life is. I shouldn't say it sucks. I should say it's hard. It always has been hard. Just people in Western cities have life quite a lot easier than, I'm just talking shit now.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that life sucks. Life is terrible. It's lousy, and you just kind of got to deal with it.
It's those biological imperatives that keep us going as a species.
Yeah,
and our complete dominion over the planet that we love to destroy. But yeah, so
enough about that. Green puppy. I want to see the green puppy.
Green puppy. Yeah, so do I, because this was really interesting to me, because I first saw this and I'm like, this has got to be fucking clickbait, right? And so I clicked on the article. It's like, and here's the science behind it. And I'm very skeptical because CNN, right? Talking science. I'm skeptical.
Oh God, it's I just, whenever news discusses like anything that's even remotely scientific, they always have the most basic bitch interpretation of it. It's ridiculous.
Oh man, look at him. He's so cute. They're so cute. I want them. I want a puppy. Especially a golden retriever puppy. I love golden retrievers.
Well, the playback hasn't reached me yet, but I imagine it will in about 5 seconds.
Yeah. Just playing a little bit of the video to see the puppers in action. So the story goes, when a North Carolina family's beloved dog went into labor, everything seemed to be going well. That is until one of her puppies came out green. Gypsy, a white German Shepherd. A white German Shepherd? That looks like a golden retriever. Gave birth to 8 healthy pups last week. Just one donned an incredible coat of green fur. What's up?
It looks more neon yellow than green.
Like in the video, yeah.
I mean, maybe the dog can get a job as a traffic cone.
I think that's more to do with the lighting of the video, because in the still photos, in the photographs, he's pretty green.
Oh yeah.
And especially the younger photos, because as we continue, I knew it wasn't harmful, but I still had to look it up again to make sure. Owner Shayna Stamey told CNN affiliate. The family was confused, but had a good sense of humor about it. They named him Hulk. Awesome. Suzanne something Italian, a veteran technician who manages the nearby Junaluska Animal Hospital. It sounds like a Russian agent. I am Junaluska, Russian KGB operative. Said there was a very simple explanation for Hulk's color. Poop. Each puppy is located within their own sac in the uterus, and the sac is full of fluid. If they have meconium in that sac, it will actually stain their fur. Meconium is an infant mammal's first stool. The color is temporary and goes away as the puppy gets bathed or cleaned by the mother. That means that soon enough, Hulk's green fur will turn white. So, yeah, poop.
Well, that's kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
It would be cool. I want this to grow up into a big green dog,
like you got Clifford,
the red dog.
Yeah. And then they could come together and have a Christmas special.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think, again, it's one of those things where it's just like, I'm amazed that this kind of stuff actually happens, especially after reading the science behind it. Oh, it was poop.
There's gonna be some weird foreign country that contacts these people that want to worship their dog. Because in India, if a kid is born with too many arms, people immediately want to worship it because Vishnu or something like that.
It's a sign of Vishnu. Interestingly enough, the title of today's show, speaking of Vishnu, is Snow Mexicans in the Temple of Doom. Running with my personal naming convention in ripping off famous movies. So there's that. Next meme or story. Sorry, I don't want to rip off the Pewds, even though he's taken a hiatus. I don't want to step on his parade.
Did you hear any of the bullshit after he said that he was leaving temporarily, and then they come out with a whole bunch of hit pieces about PewDiePie? He's leaving forever, and here's the reason why that's a good thing.
Yeah. Hey, Scotty. Yeah. I mean, people. It's all about the clicks, right? Right? Everything's all about the clicks, and it just whatever. I just like this with the Harry and Meghan thing, I couldn't give a rat's ass. I'm only bringing it up because they've officially said that they're stepping back their rules, which is good news for someone like me in Canada who doesn't want to have to pay for them to live here just because they're fucking the genetic line that they're from. We as a modern society are moving past such things.
Yeah, I think that the only real relevant... I think that there doesn't need to be a royal family. There really doesn't. I mean, what do they do? What do they do at all other than just sit there and act noble?
Yeah, it's ceremonial at this time. It's to the British people though, I understand their... I don't want to say worship or idolation, but it gives them a sense of their national pride that they have been a monarchy since their inception. But going much further past that, there isn't really much other than the tabloids, you know?
Yeah. Here's what the queen was wearing. The queen is like 90 years old. Who gives a shit what she's wearing? She doesn't look good. She looks old.
Are you being ageist on my stream, Jack?
I
This
know, I'm
cannot
a
stand.
terrible human being. Terrible human being.
We're all terrible human beings. It's okay. Yeah, no, I understand that sentiment too, James. Because I too, like, I'm like, why do you even have a monarchy? But I'm grasping. I don't want to say I'm grasping at straws, but I'm grasping at straws in that there are certain people who feel that way, and it's kind of just sort of stagnated. People don't really care one way or the other, in the majority. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, the only reason that this makes any relevance to my life is, paying like literal dollars and cents. I don't want to have to pay for it.
The only reason it really bothers me is because Harry used to be fun, and
Now he's cucked.
Now he's cucked, yeah, and this is what happens when you marry a feminist, folks.
I did it all for the nookie. What? The nookie? What? The nookie?
I mean,
come
Jesus,
on.
When are we gonna get a hold of this epidemic of great men turning into total saps because they marry total bitches?
Education, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, for someone like me who's a liberal libertarian, I'm like, yeah, okay, you want to live your life that way, so be it. It's too late for you. I'm not going to intervene, but we can do our best as a society, as a community, to at least inform as many people as we can and educate them on, the facts of life.
As someone with what's the phrase, the traditional liberal thing, as someone with those sorts of views on social issues, Harry's allowed to do whatever the hell he wants. But I will tell him that I think that he's making a grave mistake and that he's negatively impacting the lives of people who just don't want to have a stick constantly shoved up their ass.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'll laugh my ass off.
Yeah, it's just disappointing because there are comedians out there whom I used to have a lot of respect for, and then they get married to a bitch, and then they turn into a wimp, and it's totally irritating. It's totally obnoxious because these are people that I enjoy watching, and now that you have some floozy enter the mix, start espousing some bullshit notions, all of a sudden I don't get to enjoy them anymore because suddenly they decide to just be totally stupid about everything.
And I have yes, there's entertainers and stuff like that. I've had friends that I've lost because of that same bullshit. It's not good. And I mean, it's the same, like, it goes both ways, obviously. It's that controlling nature of any given person, especially over their significant other, that is really just that's the true toxicity between the dichotomy of man and woman right there. Whether or not you have a domineering, controlling woman in the mix, or the man is abusive in the same way, or more typically, statistically, there goes my buzzer. Thanks, Elwin, for running to that. Or more typically physically abusive and domineering in a relationship. That's the true toxicity in that dichotomy.
Yeah.
Not being feminine or not being masculine is not toxic. I mean, sorry. I got pizza on the brain.
Yeah. There is toxicity from both sides, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. So I got like maybe one or two more from CNN. We'll just try to, because CNN really tries my patience. We'll let the audio play a little for the first like 30 seconds of this video. It's, your typical CNN panel show, Inside Politics with host John King. It's all about Trump, who tweeted another photoshopped image. No, it was a fucking gag image of Pelosi and Schumer. They were wearing Islamic clothing in front of an Iranian flag. I want to react to the panel's reaction.
We all know from much experience, the president's Twitter feed doubles as a window into his daily mindset. This morning, for starters, the president's line.
Into his daily mindset. Why do I hear stuff?
Jen's thing has some audio coming from it, although it doesn't sound like Jen at all. It sounds like a man.
Sounds like me. I'm a man. Now I'm a man. Man. Welcome, Kyler. Now you get to hear me sing. No, you're a man.
Hey, Kyler, you still came despite seeing my name in the title. Thank you.
Always fashionably, Kyler.
Hello, hi, this is Jen's brother.
Oh, hi, Jen's brother. We can kind of barely hear you. You're really quiet.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
I can hear you, yeah.
Hello?
Hi, we can hear you.
Sounds like a man.
Hold on, I'm just
We can hear you,
private
Jen's
messaging her to let him know that I can hear him. Anyway, where were we with this thing? Oh, right, the
Lag for some reason. That's really weird.
boomer problems. What was I? Where were we with this?
Yeah, careful. I'm the youngest person here, and I'm a boomer too, so that makes you a boomer.
Boomer is just a state of mind, and I'm too technologically literate to willingly concede that I'm a boomer.
I don't know. I'm wondering who's more technologically literate, me or you?
Probably me. I don't know. I don't know you well enough. Yeah, Kyler, it's weird how that happens. Oh my god. That game just like absorbs time. It's like a black hole of gaming. So, yeah, kind of forget what he said, so I don't really care that much.
He's also relying on brutal and propagandist imagery to make
Point is, CNN says this is a doctored image.
Well, no, they actually say, it's photoshopped or whatever. But they say it's... Oh, now I remember what his first statements are. It's an insight into his daily thinking. Yeah, that he's telling you a fucking joke about his political rivals who are insane. Schumer and Pelosi are fucking insane. The whole impeachment thing is fucking insane. Go back to work.
Pelosi's not insane. Chuck Schumer is a crybaby and a wimp, and Nancy
You don't
Pelosi
think she's
is
insane for having the golden fucking personally inscribed pens and all this other bullshit? I think that's insane, dude. Oh, this have to be somber. Yet we're gonna walk down the fucking hallway and make sure CNN's broadcasting that like we're the fucking Empire from Star Wars. I want to play that and just be like, dun, 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 dun.
Here's the thing. I think that right now she may or may, I don't know, but she may be kind of leaning into the fact that this is in fact what the Democrats want, because everybody knew from the beginning that all the talk about this is a very somber occasion, that was all bullshit from the beginning. Everybody knows that. This is purely a partisan attempt to remove a sitting president. Everyone knows this. Everyone.
Yeah.
And
I mean, with as much as the Republicans hated Obama, in some cases, good reason to. In other cases, not. It's just like anything. There's a huge swath of gray because people are different.
The problem is that Nancy Pelosi knows that if she does, in fact, impeach the president, then that's going to be a losing issue for her party because Americans don't like that. When when they get impeached, the party with the person who got impeached usually does very, very well the next election cycle. And so Nancy knows this is a losing issue, but she also knows that the Democrats have been campaigning on this for a long time, so she can't exactly ignore them. And so at the end of the day, what she decided to do was go ahead with the vote for impeachment, but not deliver the articles because in her mind that would establish that, okay, I did my due diligence in voting on this and he's been impeached, but then there won't be the immediate exoneration from the Senate right afterwards, which would make it look like a partisan hack job.
Yeah.
So that I because people were confused as to why she didn't deliver the articles to the Senate right away, and I was like, it makes total sense.
Yeah, it's
This is a
political
party.
ploy.
This is a party that is all about optics. They don't care what they actually manage to get done. They only care about phrasing it in such a way that it makes them look like the good guys. And if they did if they voted on his impeachment, then he's impeached. Nothing else has to happen.
But the
That's
likelihood
all
of
that
impeachment
matters.
isn't good. So I wonder, this really seems to me like it's doing them more harm than good. I don't get it. I don't understand why they think this is such a good thing, like for their optics.
What you are right though. I don't understand what the pen thing was about. That was totally backwards. That was totally off message from what Nancy was trying to go for. The only thing I could think is she's leaning into the fact that this is what they want. Because we all know this is what they want. And she knows that we know that. And so this is all just some sort of like weird show trial to them. It's kind of weird because everybody knows exactly what's going on, but
do they though? I mean, like the people who like us who try to stay informed and everything do, but I don't think the populace at large does.
I can't imagine they don't know because if you're going to do something like impeachment, you have to have a crime. You have to have something very serious, something that's obvious that you can say this is what we're impeaching him for.
And I don't think that they have that.
Oh, they never did. And
that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me as an outsider basically looking in that has no skin in the game. I don't care for the Republican Party, but I don't see... I understand why they're doing it, like, in practice, but I don't understand why they're doing it. Because it's not going to do anything, and it's not going to make them look good when it's all said and done. Even to the majority of those who aren't as informed about political goings on.
It's they don't have a good reason to impeach. They don't have a solid reason to impeach the president. They don't have a serious accusation of anything.
Yep.
And
that's again, I don't understand why then would they deliver or hold on to the articles, and I think they eventually delivered them to the Senate, didn't they?
Yes, that was what the pen thing was all about.
Yeah, so I mean, the whole thing it's so messed up, and most of it I don't understand. Hey, Jen.
It leaves and it goes back to what it was doing before.
Who does? Can you hear us?
And now I can't hear any of you.
I can hear you.
Oh my god. I hate my life functional. Jack, can you shoot me? Yeah, I can see that you can hear me.
Yeah, I don't have a gun, I'm afraid.
I don't know why that came up. Well, yeah, I don't know. This is so weird. Weird.
I can hear you. I don't know why my sound isn't working. What the fuck did he do to my sound?
Did you try running Discord as administrator?
I'm gonna sit here and sound like the Joker in the background, just
I can't, James. That's her sound. There's something wrong with it. Yeah, she. Anyway, I'm not gonna touch that, Kyler. She's just got to remind me to like actually do it when I'm not in the middle of stuff. But that's neither here nor there because I want to talk about candy. God damn it!
I want candy.
These, world's largest blanks, cake. Excuse me. Like world largest pizza, world largest cakes, whatever. Like it's a novelty, sure. I just don't think it's as much of a feat as something like, oh, I'm gonna grow the world's largest tomato. Without sort of using Chernobyl soil to
I don't want to feed back into the stream.
well, you're not feedbacking into the stream right now, even though you can't hear me. But the world's largest Snicker bar at the size of 43,000 single-sized candy bars put together. Oh my God, I want one.
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. There is kind of a trivial nature to it because all Snickers has to do is get a few barrels of its caramel and a few barrels of its chocolate and just put them together, and a few tons of peanuts and put them together, and you go. World's largest Snickers bar. There are instances where people can make things where I can sort of see the technical achievement of it. For example,
Usually something to do with engineering, less to do with culinary.
Yeah, like
I mean, you want to make a pizza the size of Arizona? Holy shit, dude! The logistics alone, wow, blow my mind.
Well, no, I was the world's largest pizza. How do you go about baking something like that? Because you have to bake it evenly. It has to be edible.
Well, yeah, so, and that's something I would also put towards, growing a large vegetable like that, is that, I would still have to say it has to be edible. You can't just use chemicals to grow it for the sake of growing it. That pumpkin, that tomato, that whatever has to be edible like a normal one is.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's also some element of luck involved. I mean, at the end of the day, if it doesn't grow as big as you want it to, that's just nature for you.
Yeah. So this was made in Texas, and I think it's with a company like Snickers, Texas, everything's bigger in Texas. It's kind of like a marketing stunt. A lot of things with Guinness are just marketing stunts.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I like boobs.
You do like boobs. I like boobs too.
It's working. There you go. Jan, have fun. Guys, good luck.
You like boobs?
Thank you.
I love great big titties.
All right.
More motherfuckers.
Have a good one, my dude.
Oh, what was that woman's reaction to when the guy said he believes in a couple things and one of them is boobs? And she was like, B-double-O-B-S?
Yeah, it was one of those
freaking out on him.
It was probably like Kathy Newman or one of those
No, it was definitely an American lady.
Oh, okay.
I think she was on CNN.
Okay, yeah. I remember seeing that. I don't remember who it was and what all that was, but I do remember that.
All right. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Now we'll get Jen, maybe? Maybe she won't break it?
I didn't do anything. Honest to God, I turned off my computer last night. I was good. Okay, he said that I just have to touch the fucking thing. He's not wrong. I feel like I've been cursed this week, and I don't know what I did. Like, who I offended, what god I pissed off.
Hopefully, and let me know in the chat. I turned her up to 150. Hopefully she's a little bit more audible. It is a bit quiet, but don't touch anything right now, okay, Jen? Just don't touch anything.
How are you, Jen?
Frustrated.
I can imagine, but how's everything else going? We've actually caught up to you in that, like, oh, I can actually see off my balcony now. Huh. The snow just went all over the city.
So it's slowly starting to warm up here. So we went from minus 26 yesterday to minus 22 today. So it's like every day it feels like it's going up 4 degrees. But tomorrow I think it's supposed to drop to, no, it's supposed to warm up to minus 15 or something. So it's, I think by like, I'd say about Tuesday or Wednesday, it's probably going to be
Artificial
back into the pluses.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where like it says minus 22 today, and then tomorrow it says like, you know, -1, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna drop that much. That's like wishful thinking. And even if it did, it would be like that for like maybe a couple days.
Yeah, I cranked her up to 200%, but unfortunately, guys, that's as high as it's gonna go. So we're just gonna have to deal with it. As you know, you guys can hear, so that's great. We'll have to work through the technical problems.
I can always yell.
No, I mean, like, I can hear you just fine. It's just, you know, a quiet thing. Are you using a headset?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like the cable is dying at some point.
And that doesn't make sense because I literally just bought this in November. Like, I got money from Cryptic. He helped me out, which I wasn't supposed to tell everybody, but I did because I was like, he saved my career of nothing.
It could be the audio card itself. I don't know. Well, we'll tech fucking address the tech issues afterwards.
You know what'll be funny is like I'll probably use it again later and it'll be completely fine.
But you just fine, yeah. Who knows? Maybe your computer just needs a restart or something. But yeah. Anyway, there's apparently a new obstacle to landing a job after college: getting approved by AI. I'm not gonna read the whole fucking article because it's a very wordy article, but suffice to say that your Google and Chinese coming together as a superpower, a technological superpower, is starting to pay off in the Western world, in that there are companies now that are specializing in doing just this and in helping universities, post-secondary education institutions, vetting people by scouring their social media and this and that. And I'm disgusted because social credit systems are fucking bullshit. But because, yeah, I'm part of the generation, the last generation, tail end of Gen X, where we did stupid shit and we didn't have it plastered all over the internet. You do stupid shit as a kid. That's why you are, in my opinion, the only protected class as a child. Is those are your years to make mistakes and do stupid shit and learn from those mistakes and doing stupid shit, so that you don't do them when you are a full-fledged member of adult society.
Honestly, I view this whole process as just survival of the fittest. Those of us who will move on are the ones who are going to be best left, are going to be the ones who learn early on that you have to be quiet online, that you can't go online and post all the crap that you do, and that if you do, you risk serious damages to your career. So honestly, whatever. If this is what they want to do, then they're going to do it, and there's not really going to be much that can stop them. And so we as a society are just going to have to learn to adapt by hushing up online.
Well, I do agree that you have some validity with, you know, at least educating children. But again, at the end of the day, they are still children, and we should allow them to fuck up because they're children and they will learn from their mistakes. I don't think that you should be punished as a college age student or a potential student, or as a 40-something business person for something you said when you were 12 or 8. Like
all it really does though is it puts kids back in the position of doing it where they were doing it in the first place, which was in real life.
Arms killer, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, but
I do get what you're saying. Like it's probably going to come to that point where we're just going to.
No, I have no problem with the AI going through, their academic accolades and, like trying to process it faster. Like that, help doing the job. But for them to have a definitive say in certain personal aspects, I don't know. It's kind of a complex issue that you really have to read the entire article and look more deeply into it. To the point where the AI is doing the interview, not even a real person, where, you know, we communicate differently to other people than we do to inanimate objects. It's just, or animals. Like it's a part of human biology. I don't know. It's weird.
Oh boy. Oh, there we go.
This might be one of those issues where sometimes, like, it's sort of like, you know how have you ever beta?
Sorry, you broke up for a second there. Have you ever what?
Have you ever watched Beauty and the Beta?
Yes.
You know how Blonde occasionally jokes that she wants Islam to win over so that they can reinstall the patriarchy?
Yes.
This kind of reminds me of that, because this is kind of one of those places where I hope that the oppression Olympics kind of wins, because I know that once you install an AI like this, it's going to cut against black people, because that's what always happens. It always cuts against black people in some way, and they're going to get really pissed off at it, and there's going to be a huge controversy, and maybe that will end the possibility of AI AI being used as a filter for potential applicant.
But I mean, these AIs, these companies that are using the AIs, are literally doing the interviews.
Yeah.
In some cases, and that's, I don't know. It's.
Wait, they're doing the what? Like they call up and ask pre-recorded questions and stuff, and
well, you go online and you have like they'll have, you know, pre-screened questions, and they judge you on your answers in things like agreeableness, disposition, like very vague sort of.
Yeah, that's
unrelated.
Terrifying.
Unrelated? Like your agreeableness? What the fuck does that have to do with whether or not you deserve to go to their institution to get an education?
Oh, agreeableness is a leftist speak for.
Well, that was going to be my next point. It's that insipid infiltration of this hyper leftism that's, you know, being exposed in the last, you know, decade in the post-secondary world, and this is just adding to that, and I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. And Armskilla, I would even suggest that having a criminal record is relevant to work-related things, because your employer has a right to know that you've been convicted of a crime. Because what if you've been convicted of thievery? Are they going to necessarily treat you differently? No, but they will want to know, especially if they deal with high valuable things, that you wouldn't reoffend. Because if you're willing to steal before and be convicted of it, then yes, you might steal again. And I'm sorry, you might have to spend some time as that formerly convicted person. Yes, you served your time, but you still have to reprove to society, in society, that you can be trusted again. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel.
And
I think,
I mean, if I
is like over time though, how can you change that? I think that would be something that maybe they could talk about. Is like, if you have somebody who's offended and say they go 5 years without offending, like maybe they can lessen the offense. Be like, you know, they can update the system and be like, hey, listen, they've gone 5 years without offending, you know, something like that, you know, or like 10 years or whatever. It's just because, like, I understand that it's on your record, and I understand why it should be, you know, especially if you've been re-released. But you know, if you're gonna have that on your record for life, and everywhere you go, you're still gonna be treated like a criminal, even if you do decide, like, yeah, you know what, like, I was in the wrong, I'd like to go back to doing things the way I'm supposed to. Something like that would be a better thing to look into if I was them, you know?
That's what I would call their problems.
Yeah. The end of the day,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
but if you don't want to be treated like a criminal, then don't do criminal acts.
Again,
That's
this is
all
why
there
we
is to it.
differentiate between
Yeah,
adult
yeah,
and
I understand where you're coming from, but half the time when you do stuff like that, sometimes it's because you're just being stupid, and sometimes people do it because they're desperate. Do you really want to tell somebody who stole something in desperation that they can never redeem themselves?
Well, no, but
Uh,
I mean, you can't, because you have that stain on your record. You can't just go get a job at a jeweler or a high-end
Oh, I
tech
know.
store or whatever. Yeah, you might have to spend the next 5 years at getting out of prison working at Burger King. Sorry, not sorry. But
Yeah,
another thing that I forgot to mention about that the interview process through these AI companies is that it also tracks your facial movements and facial cues and other things like that, facial mapping. So we're basically going back to phrenology with this type of stuff. In like what might be a common visual cue of somebody lying or being deceptive or whatever when they give their answers, that's just a generality. That's not a set in stone rule. They say, most people when they're lying, they'll look down and to the left. Well, you know what? I'm the type of person, just personally, using this as an example, not like a justification for, a full exemption, but I look in every fucking direction, regardless of what I'm saying. I'm constantly just like looking around. It's just, people are different, and using these kinds of facial mapping things to also, again, vet people, it really scares me and disgusts me at the same time. And hey, Magic, I too support conversion therapy. You should all be Jews. Join us. We have cookies called Homintaschen, and we wear funny little skull caps to keep our bald spots warm.
Caligula. Somebody stole it. I was working. I said it was the Negro female, and I was right.
Oh my god.
Should he join us? Are you free?
If he wants to pop in Discord, yeah.
If you want to pop in the Discord, we're in the Rock.
So on to some more lighthearted stuff. I guess you could call it that. So Watchmen is likely to end. There's been some kerfuffle and some dust up with the show as a whole. I personally didn't see it because I heard the reports that it was very untrue to the source material, and I really liked the film. So I decided just not to watch it. I might hate watch it just for my morbid curiosity in the near future. But again, I more so bring this up because Damon Lindelof was doing the show, and he's one of those insipid leftist directing hacks in Hollywood, like J.J. Abrams, who I would just like to see go the way of the dinosaur and never work in film and TV again, but not likely to happen. But just to sort of laugh at them because I'm morbid like that and go, ha ha, you suck. Now your show's getting canceled.
Petty, but funny.
In other film news, again, something I haven't seen, but quite the opposite. I really want to see this movie because it has such a, and I hate admitting this because it has such a buzz around it. But when people, not only critics, but regular film-going people are ranting and raving about this Korean movie called Parasite, kind of makes me intrigued enough to want to see it. And again, I'm just a huge film nut. I'm a total cinemaphile. So for this one to go past my radar is really weird, especially with all the hype around it. I generally don't like, succumbing to the hype machine of something, but this one I'm definitely gonna have to give into. Have either of you seen this movie yet?
I've heard of it. I've never seen it.
Okay. So we'll just veto that then, and just I'll come back when I've actually seen the movie. This story weirds me out because I really like him as a problem-solving candidate. He's kind of the opposite in Bernie, in that Bernie understands the problems, but his ideas on the execution of these ideas is completely insane. Whereas Andrew Yang is kind of somewhat identifying the wrong problems, for the most part, but he has good solutions for problems, even though they're bad problems. I'm a Yang kind of guy. I like the majority, I'd say probably like 70% of his platform and his ideas I like. So it's really weird that a story like this crosses my desk, and Evelyn Yang, his wife, is now embattled in this 31 women suit against this gynecologist. And in the wake of, the Me Too lies and scandals, there was still a good core idea there that's saying to certain industries, no, you can't laud your social or economic power over women for sexual gratification. It's putting men on notice in that case. Yes, it kind of ran away from itself in its core message and saying, a lot of the feminist Twitterazzi saying, well, we're putting all men on notice that men can't rape. Well, no, that's not at all what it was about. So fuck off, you dumb cunt. So it with all that, it kind of makes me like, it's weird that this is coming up now while he's doing his presidential race. It's weird that a bunch of these women are coming out now when this has been going on for years. I'm always skeptical. I know it's something hard to process and deal with and come to terms with. It can be a long process for some people to get to that point where you come out and they're going a legal route with this. This isn't just they're coming out and speaking. This is, no, we're actually taking this guy to fucking court because he's a monster. So, yes, most of me outside of that skepticism is saying, well, I hope you get your justice. I hope justice comes for whoever it's due. It's a sad, sad story. Again, and not one that's getting a lot of media attention, that these 32 women in total, including Evelyn Yang, are charging this doctor with sexual assault. I don't.
Yeah, shit. It's a gynecologist. I mean, his job is touching pussies.
Yeah, but in the court documents, that was my first thought too. But in the court documents, they claim that, once the exam was over or something, they'd be fully clothed again. The doctor would come back in, demand that they disrobe again, and then without medical protection like rubber gloves or visibly washing their hands, goes and sticks their fingers up in her cooter again, and then says, okay, done. One of the quotes in the article is, I was dressed and ready to go. Then at the last minute, he kind of made up an excuse. He said something about, I think you might need a C-section. And then he proceeded to grab me over to him, undress me, and examine me internally ungloved. That's a common thing, type of story that, again, I've read the what's been made available as far as court documents and accusations in public record. That seems to be a common narrative, that it's sort of like and one last thing, and then doing something like that very, yeah.
No, Ruth McGowan did not get employed for acting skills, that's for sure.
No.
What's I'll defend the in Weinstein?
That's
Well,
probably what took it so long too, because that's a hard one to claim. Like that's
yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It was, what I mean by long was the process leading up to it. This was like 8 or 9 years ago that these kinds of things were going on. The case was filed 2 years ago in 2016. So, you know, statute of limitations is still valid. We'll see how it turns out. But
like,
yeah.
I would put that one on a shelf. That's one of those ones where like there might be a chance of something actually happening.
Oh yeah, I would always
It
I would
makes
always
sense
put those
why-
things to.
Yeah.
I only
know,
bring
like,
it up
it-
again because
that's-
it's
That's
now
what makes
been.
me hate the Me Too movement so much, is because this could be a valid story. This could be a valid.
But there's
thing.
too much knee-jerk
Yes.
bullshit out there. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
and that makes it sad. That actually makes it sad. I actually, you know, if it ends up being true, I really feel for those ladies because.
Yeah, that's
unfortunately,
terrible.
sometimes
Because your
that's not really
doctor
short
is
end.
supposed to be a place of safety.
Mhm.
Like, these are the people who get to see you at your most vulnerable. And to take
Well,
advantage
that's-
of that, that's an egregious affront to the profession,
If
the
you're in
institution of
Canada,
medicine.
don't go to hospital unless you're sick. Because you're gonna get sick.
Yeah, no, really.
Well, yeah,
Um,
yeah, they tell you that.
Oh, I
There's
wonder
no
if I brought.
safety feature.
I wonder if I found that article, or have that article still up, because maybe I'll look for it after. Yeah, there's big news on the newest Chinese flu bullshit.
Chinese flu?
Yeah, like the next bird
Lots
flu.
that Get planted hives.
But
Yeah,
you know, this is going to be, you know, a kind of a sad story for Jen, a funny story for Magic. But a bus driver in Toronto was fired after 5-year-old boy with autism left on school bus. Oh, God. It's always got to be, oh, this person has this and this person has that. It's bad enough that the bus driver didn't do their fucking job, screen the bus when he went into the yard to find a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
The autism is just your fucking icing on the cake, isn't it, media? But yeah, that's basically all that happened. The guy just basically skimped on his duty to go through the bus, and you know, what you have to do as a bus driver, part of your contract, part of your job, is to walk the length of the bus, make sure nothing and nobody is left on the job, because this kid fell asleep. Just fell asleep. Nothing malicious, nothing wrong going on. The big hubbub is that this kid's mom was on hold with the bus company for about 40 minutes. Just saying, you know, is the bus running late? Blah, blah, blah. They wouldn't tell her anything for about 20 minutes. And after that 20 minutes, they said, oh, we're looking for him now. And then put her back on hold. And she was just left thinking, well, you know, I just wanted to know what the status of the bus was. Now you're telling me you're looking for him? So I can see a lawsuit in the future of this charter bus company.
Yeah.
Let's
But
skip
I mean,
that.
at the same time, though, that's not like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, the bus driver was in the wrong for not doing his job, but I would say like that was more than just him. Like.
No, I don't think it's just him. Well, okay, yes, because the bus driver, you know, but I can understand that the dispatcher isn't going to know whether or not the guy did his rounds and did everything perfectly. She was probably frantic, you know, it's a child. She was probably just as frantically, you know, looking around and trying to figure out, you know, chase it down. It was probably a poor choice of words to say, oh, we're looking for him, because, you know, it's not like these buses are all low jacked and everything. They can't just push a button and be like, oh, there he is on GPS, you know.
It looks like one of those things where, like, you know, I get that you're not expected for that to happen, but they should have training for it, because I'm sure kids have been.
Well, they do. And again, with kids, again, in my opinion, being the only protected class that we should have.
Yeah.
Again, it's similar to the Evelyn Yang thing. Bus drivers are, again, part of the education system, part of a place where we hope and expect a certain level of safety and a level of procedure, because they deal with our children. So for him to skirt something that's so simple to do yet so important, fuck that guy. I don't care if you have to take a shit. You're looking after children. Do your fucking job. And then go shit. What's an extra minute and a half to walk the length of a school bus?
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
this is
like I said, that's his responsibility and stuff too. Like he got fired. He probably even admits it was his own mistake, But yeah, for the lawsuit, it's gonna be more than just him, and it's one of those things where like probably more training for the girls on the other end, because like you said, like they weren't prepared. Like I mean, you are, but you're not. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, like I can just see that their expectation is the driver must have done his job, must have done his full duty. So if for this kid, and knowing that the bus driver radioed in that he finished his rounds, he's now got to track down him, and then got to track down the kid, and got to find out between school, if he's still at school, and between that on the bus ride and to all the stops, maybe he got off on the wrong stop. Like there's so many different factors. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe we'll see what happens of it.
At least he got found, guys.
Yes,
I mean,
that's
the most important part of the story is he's back at home with his mom. He's safe. He didn't.
Yeah. I mean, within an hour, he was at home. It was just maybe she won't sue. And maybe she'll be one of those common sense people who will just say, yeah, thankfully this didn't turn out as bad as it could have been. And it was just a simple oopsie, human error. We're human, we're fallible. And that she got justice because the driver is fired for, making that tiny mistake.
Yeah.
In action, it's a tiny mistake, not in possibility of effect. What's up, Magic?
Nothing. It's gonna be racist.
But I like racism.
I'll say that it's a 5-year-old with autism that is not white. So...
That's racism, man. I love to racism, bro.
So I'm just gonna put that out there. Maybe the woman that asked this child can simply not sue presently. If you know what I mean.
But yeah, maybe she will be, a not opportunistic person. But if she does, then that's within her right. Who knows? Maybe she could use the money.
Maybe she'll put it towards her kid's education, considering he has autism.
Yeah, and lives in Ontario.
Use it for your hair, lady. Just don't use it for your hair.
Yeah, right.
In
other Toronto stories, so this is a weird immigration story because typically, when you're born in Canada on Canadian soil, you get your citizenship. This woman faces deportation 18 years after arriving to Canada as a child. So she wasn't born here. It's unfortunate because, look at her. We need such good genetics. She's gorgeous. We need good genetics in Canada. You see some of the people we let in?
More Aryan blood.
She had 18 years to fix.
No, Jack. Let me get into the story first because it's a very difficult one. So yes, that was my first thought too. You had 18 years. Your mother and grandmother had 8. Well, her mother and her came to Canada from France for very good reason to take care of her grandmother who suffered a severe stroke. Now, while after
does internet porn know you're cheating on it?
Ooh, thanks for the sub. Who was that? I missed that. Ian Tomlinson, thanks for the sub, dude. On our way to 100. Where was I? Yes. So, she knew that she needed to, by her 18th birthday, because she's still a child, she can still be there under her grandmother's residency. She's still a child. And in, Canadian law, her grandmother's like, well, no, she's here taking care of me. She's still a child. So anyway, they consulted a lawyer, and this lawyer that she was working with said, oh, no, you're fine. Basic in common parlance, just said, no, you're basically fine. Turns out he is 150 fucking percent wrong, and she's now she was facing deportation. She's a self-made entrepreneur. No, she's not doing like sex work. She's doing, I think she has her own samba studio or some kind of dancing studio, like classical dancing studio, and also danced with the Raptors. But yeah, the update is that the federal government is suspending. Oh, that's just a video. I don't want to play the video. But they are suspending her deportation. So we'll see how that.
Good news. She's not getting deported.
For basically, because I would say that yes, as the government, allow her then, because she has these records of correspondence with this lawyer saying that she's fine. That yes, as the government, allow her to take the put her deportation status on hold, to allow her to not only do the appropriate paperwork to apply for citizenship and maybe fast track it because of the individual circumstance here, but also to give her a chance to maybe take legal action against this lawyer who was not acting in her best interests and who was demonstrably erroneous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is one of those instances where I say the lawyer should be sued.
Yeah, because that's putting a huge fucking stop on her life, where, for the last 12 years, I want to say, she's basically had this impression that, I'm a legal resident of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to travel, so she never had to get like a passport. She's gotten her with no red flags. She's managed to go to school here, both in early years education, through high school, college, able to get an apartment, loans, a driver's license, identification, all of this stuff with no red flags.
You got me as self-made. That means she does not have a job that leech of the government. Therefore, I'm applying her to permanent residence. Good for you, lady. You go.
Well,
girl.
like I said, dude. Plus, it's good genetic stock. Pretty people and ugly people, they come together. They have either ugly or pretty kids. We should throw the ugly kids into the ocean, and then we'll save the pretty kids, because then the pretty kids have brains and pretty. I'm just fucking talking shit.
Don't get me started
Random!
on watermelon babies, okay?
Watermelon baby. I'm just a dumpster baby. So this is going to be some like all-round kind of upsetting news, especially to someone like me who really does believe that we have a responsibility to all animals, not only our best friends in dogs, but to all animals because of our sheer dominion over them. So in Vancouver, Vancouver, like you're Canada's Florida. I swear, there's so many fucking dumb people in Vancouver. So they took it to the Supreme Court that a dog is being sentenced to death because the long and the short of it, he was in a no leash park, or an leash optional park, not a violent dog typically, had an altercation where he bit this person. The person fucking flipped out and basically took this all the way to the Canadian courts and now up to the Supreme Court to have this dog euthanized. That's fucking disgusting, man. You are in a no-leash park. These are still animals. I believe that if you are putting yourself into such a situation, you are well informed and taking a risk that, yes, you might get nipped or bit. It's not like this dog mauled somebody. You know, it wasn't egregious. The dog bit the person's hand when the dog was trying to separate two dogs who were roughhousing a little bit. There was video footage of it. I was keeping up on this story because these animal stories, man, they always get me going. She's got some serious compo face going on.
What's your stance on the banning pit bull thingy?
Pit bull bidding? No, fuck that.
No, the stance of banning pit bull.
Oh, banning them. Oh, fuck that. That's so stupid. It is racist. They're just a breed like any other. In this photo here, you can see Punky, the doggy, as a puppy. He looks like such a happy fellow. He's an Australian cattle dog. They're a really good, really intelligent breed. However, they've also been bred to be very territorial because they're meant to stave off predators from cattle and sheep and other livestock. So, yes, when they're roughhousing with another dog and then a human comes in to try to get them separated, yeah, you might nip. Again, as people, as human fucking beings, I would expect that somebody have the intelligence enough to know that that might be a consequence of some of your actions. Yes, the dogs were roughhousing. So what? They're fucking dogs. I understand your need to then try to separate them, and then, yeah, you get nipped. Oh, well. You don't have to then go so far as to go to the Supreme Court to make sure that this sweet little doggy is going to be fucking killed.
Just punch him in the face.
It takes a very horrible person to go after a dog in order to kill the thing. Because someone's dog.
Most people will agree that, these pets, our cats, our dogs, our other animals, they become a part of our families. They're not they're more than just pets to most people. They are members of the family. And at that point, the plaintiff is just being vicious, asking to execute this woman's... I don't want to get too personal. I'm going to draw some conclusions here. She looks like an older woman who's probably single, doesn't have very much human connection, and has a very strong connection with her pupper.
And she saw the other dog fighting with her dog, and then she... Oh, no! How dare he?
Well, no, she's the defendant.
Oh, she's the defendant.
The plaintiff is some dude. Some fucking hipster dude. Yeah.
Oh.
And this is why I think that this next story bleeds into the other one, because I think we should go back to, solving some of these problems that we have with one another with sword fights. Or the duel, the classic duels at dawn, high noon duels. A Kansas man asked a judge to allow him to have sword fight with ex-wife. They both agree to it. They both want to partake. This is maybe going a little bit further into the realms of libertarianism, but I think that this is a good thing.
Yeah, they were talking about this on Lords of the Night last
night.
Yeah. It's not technically illegal. No, it is very
illegal.
Much illegal.
You're not allowed to do harm to yourself or another.
Well, no, just the concept of duels in general are illegal. And that's what
duels
he's asking
are actually
for.
It's funny because the idea of a duel is not illegal here. I've looked into it because no, you can't the act of doing harm to another person is illegal, but a duel technically is not illegal here in Canada. At least in Ontario, at least in my province. I know that carrying a sword in the open, you can't have a blade between a concealed blade between less than 6 inches or something like that, but you can open carry a sword in the streets of Toronto. It's so weird. It's so weird. Some of these laws that we have, and yeah, some YouTubers I watch, they'll bring up funny stories of just these are funny laws that have no place in a modern society but still exist, and they're hilarious.
Well, it surprised me that it's illegal in the U.S. to duel with guns and shit. How the fuck do Andrew Jackson get
Democrats.
They
No,
probably killed too many people, and it was written into the laws.
Democrats.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It used to be legal, and then it became illegal.
I mean, like, again, the libertarian aspect of me wants to say, yes, instead of actually taking this woman to court and having her dog executed and going through the motions to go all the way to the Supreme Court, yeah, you should be able to have a duel over this. You want to kill part of my family? I'm going to fucking stab you through the arm, or maybe sever a limb, or maybe even kill you. I don't know. But yeah, at the liberal of me is saying, well, no, because then yes, you're advocating for people to basically do harm to others or self-harm, physical, in certain cases could be egregious harm, mutilation, or worst case scenario, death. But then I think about it again, going, yeah, but as long as they sign a waiver in this agreement to duel that the public shall not be responsible for any costs incurred with this, maybe
it goes against the pampered society that we live in now. So of course you cannot have something that could solve a problem between two people without any third party involved. If you want to have your duel and make it legal, somehow the government will have to implement it and have a little room, and both people will have to take 10 steps away from each other, in that little room with a monitor, and it has to be recorded and shit.
That's what I'm saying, man. Have this legally binding agreement that, yeah, maybe the winner then becomes legally responsible for any funerary costs or medical costs that ensue from this duel, and it's part of the overall agreement. I don't know. Coming up with this sort of a law or agreement would be very extensive. I think you should be allowed to do it ultimately.
The problem is that it's a law of sensibilities. It's not a law of what is actually right or what should be allowed. It is a law of modern sensibilities, and the modern sensibility is you cannot have people fighting each other, particularly to the death.
Yeah, I definitely want to see trial by combat, Cynical Lindsay. I'd love for that to... No, that would just be taking it too far. I'm just talking, like disagreements with... You know what? Maybe even if we just allow them, maybe not, proper swords or proper guns, maybe this could be... this is $1 million idea. Maybe I can have a startup business where you would have, your paintball or... like a American Gladiator style joust, or even like with kendo sticks. Something that could do some damage, do pain, but not actually mutilate or kill somebody. Well, maybe these kinds of duels. And maybe start up a company that specializes that. Yeah, I gotta make a note.
What would be the purpose if not to seriously maim someone that you hate with all your being?
Well, because, my own basic morals. I wouldn't want to maim somebody, but sure, I probably want to just test my mettle and actually physically fight them in a controlled environment where I know I'm not going to die, but if I'm not careful, I can receive, an immense amount of pain. Mostly like how the boxing commission and the MMA world sort of work. They're not necessarily working to maim the other person, just mostly subdue them and still do pain, but...
Well, we have paintball and things like that do that already. It's just playing paintball.
No. But I'm saying like start up a company that specializes in doing these kinds of dual things.
Look, it's already happened. It was called So You Wanna Fight, and you have like the pizza delivery guys against the fucking Marine guy.
Kyler, you have a duel, sir. I shall meet you on February the 15th at dawn. Mackerel in hand, sir.
Forget all that. Let's just... you remember the show MXC?
Yes.
The one with the...
Love that fucking
bring
show.
back MXC. We should bring that back because forget the dual aspect. Just have people injure themselves because they clearly have something that they need to get out of their system, and just have them run it out and get clobbered in the face for money.
Shin kicking.
Well,
that's why, dude.
Like
that's why in
$100.
Russia they have slap contests. The women slap each other on the ass, and like you're gauged on whether you flinch and whether you lose your footing. And for the men, it's slapping to the face. And I don't know if you've seen the video of the world champion so far of slapping. This guy's a massive mountain of a man. He's a fucking bear. He gets slapped and it just looks like nothing even fucking happened. He slaps people and they go flying. They literally have people waiting there to catch the person because they know that this guy is going to fuck them up. We need more of that shit too. Because, those Russian chicks getting that.
I know that there's negative historical context to this, but
maybe
more
Elwin and I will. Maybe Elwin will broadcast that. We'll get to broadcast it where she'll slap my ass, I'll slap her ass.
Like, I remember having fish fights with people in MIRC, and it's just like, okay, I want a duel where we just give people fish and they slap each other with fish.
Yeah. We need more, and we need more physical comedy, more physical entertainment. We need more bread and circuses. I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh, slapstick is always good for a laugh. And it's again bleeding into our next story. I don't know if this is like fucking supposed to be satirical or not. With Eminem releases surprise album, my ass, advocating for gun control.
I saw the video. It's terrible. It's like,
it really is terrible. He's lost every
the Las Vegas shooting and shit.
And it's funny because something that he perpetuates a culture that idolizes violence. The hip-hop world does idolize violence. And yes, some of it is cautionary tale, but there's a lot of power behind their industry. And none of them, it's funny that the picture has the Weinstein Company behind his head. Just noticed that.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that.
But you come from a culture that the guns aren't the problem. It's that gangsta mentality that is running rampant through America right now. It isn't being talked about by a lot of people, but gang violence from a certain bleeping demographic.
Yep.
And nobody wants to address it because the hyper leftists will immediately jump on your ass and say, well, you're just racist. TYT will come out. They will fucking smear you to the moon, calling you a fucking racist. If you want to talk about the gang, the black and brown gang epidemic sweeping America.
It's because black people violence doesn't matter. White people violence matters.
Yeah,
black people, but it doesn't matter if you kill.
Look at how fast, Jack. Look at how fast they tried to cover up things in the most recent New Jersey shootings. How many? It took what, a day and a half for them to release the fact that these people were African American, and then it took another half a day to a day for them to say that they were Black Hebrew Israelites, like members. They weren't just like loosely affiliated. You know, like they will say about the Las Vegas shooter who had ties to the NRA. Like, what ties? That he was a member?
What someone needs to do is they need to get like some sort of compendium of news articles that have been produced over the last year by all the major. Well, no, by all the major news sites, and then they have to basically do searches. Yeah, they need to do searches amongst all those articles for the use of certain phrases. They need to do they need to look through all the murder articles and see how many times the assailant
start quantifying
as
these
a black
claims
person
that we see and we feel
because
inexperienced, but we don't have the numbers. Yeah, no, I totally agree. That would be a really good project.
we already know that when it's a black assailant, they're not going to talk about him as though he's a black assailant. But if it's a white assailant, we know that's going to be the first thing that's going to be in the headline, for Christ's sake.
Or like when
A white
CNN or
person goes on
TYT is
shooting.
covering it and it's a white person, they will post their picture of the criminal. Well, whereas if it's an Islamic attack or if it's a black person, they'll be like, well, we don't believe in glorifying this shooter, so we're not gonna show their face.
Then compare those numbers to the actual numbers of crimes that are committed, because then we're going to find out that, oh, by the way, the news isn't even talking about most of these murders because of the race of the assailant.
That's what gets me more than anything, Cynic, is it doesn't matter. Black, white, yellow, fucking green dogs. If 20,000, if 20% of society is green dogs and they suddenly start are more aggressive and attacking people, I don't care. I care that the numbers are there. We're looking at data. I don't care what race it is or what demographic or what have you. I want to know the empirical data. And the empirical data is there. It's just being labeled as fucking racist, and it's covered in an equally racist way as their claims, even though it's not.
There in the U.S. It's there in the U.S.
Oh, here too, dude. Here too.
In Canada, the news article will say a Canadian named Abdul.
Like when we had this
Abdul Mogzaga has committed.
Well, I mean, you can kind of glean from the name generally who these people are. But like when we had a sniper in downtown Toronto. Eventually, long story short, the thing was diffused and he was taken into custody. But they told you right out the gate that this guy was Eastern European descent, white person, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, a gang member does a drive-by and they'll give you Edward Emmanuel or whatever, but they won't tell you anything. No, and then at the very end, there's this tiny little like inch by inch photograph of the person who's, he's black. Just as an example, I'm not, nobody here is saying, all people of one demographic are like this, which those are again, extremists who run away with these narratives, who then put their own spin on the empirical data. I just want people to talk about the empirical data, and then we can maybe come across the aisle and say, okay, this is the empirical data. These are the problems. Why is it so disproportionate that such a tiny percentage of our population is doing half of the violent acts in our country, and start addressing these issues? And yes, we know, any educated and informed person will say, yes, there's lacks of education, lacks of opportunities in some places. How do we attack those problems and get those people out of the gang life? So bringing it back to the article, this isn't going to help anything, first of all.
If Eminem was somehow saying like he was in favor of gun control as a method of getting rid of gang violence, that would be one thing. I don't agree with gun control even remotely, but I could respect that because it's addressing an issue that is actually in his relative vicinity. But I know that's not what he's doing, because I know he's a sellout, and I know that all he's going to talk about is some white people who did a shooting about 10,000 miles away from where he lives.
He's trying to be that, typical Hollywood elite virtue signaler that we've become, I wouldn't say accustomed to, but we kind of expect to see these idiots making their statements on, well, mostly the Twitters, but he's actually using his platform to go that route. He hasn't been relevant for quite a while, and fuck him. Because like you haven't been relevant for a while, so what, you're just going to suddenly change your stripes? Gee, Eminem, are you going to give up your guns? Are you going to give up the security detail that follows you? Are you going to demand
the guy that had an entire song about killing his mom or something?
Yeah.
Telling us that
But I mean, but that's what I was saying earlier about cautionary tales in hip hop and rap. That was him dealing with his emotions. That's him dealing with, you know, what he wants to do versus what he did do. He didn't obviously kill his mom, but he wanted to because she was such a horrible fucking person. And the message of that song was that he came out of all of that fucking hardship and found his strive. Even though he had all this bullshit in his lap, still managed to build a somewhat decent life for himself. I just hate that he's flip-flopping and saying, oh, well, you know, now we have to take away the guns from all of you peasants need your guns taken away.
It's okay when I do it. I'm rich.
Yeah, and gun control, I'll agree with you. It's not a end-all, be-all answer to any of these issues that are plaguing society, because the Vegas shooter, all of his guns were legal.
Yeah.
The hog school that he went to shooting, that was a legal gun used by a non-legal person. All this gang violence that is rampant is done by illegal guns. One way or the other, it's not going to fix anything.
Yeah.
Like any prohibition, yes, there needs to be some regulation. I will admit to that. I believe in that. But to go the prohibition route never works for anything. Especially when it's so demonstrable that that doesn't seem to play very much of a role in showing who's going to shoot what. As a matter of fact, I looked at the numbers. Members of the NRA are usually people who aren't likely to shoot themselves from their own weapons, because they as a dues paying member, you typically are more responsible with your firearms and typically are more educated about your firearms, and all these different statistics of gun owners being more responsible and doing less bad things with them. That isn't to say somebody can pass all these background checks and go get a gun and then do something horrible.
The NRA thing is total bullshit, because
they're a scapegoat for the left.
They're a scapegoat, because the thing about people who join the NRA is they're very responsible with guns. Is the people who view guns as toys that are dangerous. The people who don't take them seriously that are dangerous. Yes. I think I look cool with a gun. That's the person who's more likely to shoot someone else. And those kinds of people are very, very
very dangerous.
Yeah, very dangerous. And the responsible gun owners, the NRA members, they want to distance themselves as far from those people as humanly possible. Those people are the reasons that the NRA exists in the first place.
And yes, Arms Killa, CNN, along with the rest of the mainstream media conglomerates, were all trying to demonize the people who basically the one shooter and the other people who had guns in the church, legally, for wanting to defend themselves. They totally tried to demonize. Oh, we already covered that. We already tried to they tried to demonize them and you know what? What I was proud of is the population as a whole, as a vast majority, said, no, you're stupid. There were the odd extreme Twitterazzi people who were like, no, they're fucking animals. Why do you need a gun in church? Well, gee, I felt, like most people were like, well, they kind of showed you why. And why there's an armed guard in a church. Because in today's day where, no, it actually isn't more prevalent, but it still happens, that, yeah, you have to protect when large groups of people congregate, because people are looking to do some evil shit out there. There are evil people.
I'll say that the violence has ramped up internally because of demographic changes.
Lots of things have changed.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Lots of things have changed because of demographic changes. Some things benign, some things can be a little bit more discussed. I really can't say with certainty either way, but yeah, there is we still live in the West in the safest point in human history. However, we're able to also kill each other with more efficiency than ever before. Just ask Heather Heyer. You know, she, by all means, like 100 years ago, probably would have survived getting run over by a jogger. But in today's day, when we have, sorry, not a jogger, a cart. But in today's day that we have, 2-ton automobiles, that fat bitch is going to get flattened like a pancake.
Yeah,
Anyway.
Cynical Lindsay brings up what's going on in Virginia today and what's going on over there. Oh God, it's gonna. I hope that
Is
this
it
situation
going down live? Can we watch it?
No, it's not going down. It's not like in the immediate sense. But what's basically happening is there's talk about basically repossessing because they're saying that the governor
confiscation in Virginia.
Yeah, they're talking about gun confiscation, and the blackface in chief. I think is Ralph Northam.
Northam, yep.
Yep, is calling it a state of emergency, and it's really terrifying because I know
it's gonna be protests. Is it tonight or tomorrow?
If they try to confiscate guns, there will be revolt. I can tell you that right now. Virginia may have elected the blackface in chief, but they are also very independent people. They're very pro-gun rights people in Virginia. If you try and take a pro-gun rights person's gun away from them, there's a pretty good chance they'll fight back.
Yeah,
it's
really ironic since these Dems in the highest forms of office are now touting the Constitution when one of their compatriots in Virginia is spitting in the face of the Constitution. It's the only document that supersedes states' rights. Sorry to tell you, Northam, you cannot. And that's one of the arguments I've heard pro this stance with Northam is that, states' rights, and now you're suddenly touting out states' rights. Well, yes, I am a believer in states' rights and provincial rights and those kinds of things. However, you have a federal document that supersedes all that. It's your Constitution. It's your charter. That's the only thing that is superseded by states' rights. Sorry,
the thing is, the Democrats want there to be no guns. We know this all.
Most, yes, and especially the elected officials,
particularly elected officials.
Yeah,
want there to be no guns, and they won't go out and say it unless your name is Beto O'Rourke.
Beta.
We know that this is what they're aiming for because by the very things that they say, there are no logical instances in which a person can rightfully own a gun. They'll say, "Oh, we're not for gun control. We're just going to make every single thing a cutout in which you shouldn't be able to own a gun."
Yeah, and
the thing is, up until now, it's been they've been aiming for the death by 1,000 cuts by making regulations increasingly more stringent, so that it's almost impossible to get a gun. But instead, what we have now is an instance where he's basically just saying, okay, now we've done a lot of that. Now it's time to move on to phase 2, which is actually removing guns. Removing guns from people. And this is kind of another step over the line. And you know what? Here's what I hope happens. I hope that he drops this and it goes away. If he doesn't drop it and it goes away, I don't want there to be a massacre, but there's going to be one. And frankly, there should be in order to establish the fact that you cannot come and take our guns away from us. You cannot take our lawfully owned property that we paid for away from us.
That is
legal
Americans.
To own. They're so stubborn. I love them.
Yeah, you can try your death by 1,000 cuts, but at the end of the day, this crosses an absolutely massive line.
I mean, the Fabian Society got a hold of every other fucking country on Earth except from the US because the people are stubborn. So, hell yeah, America first.
Yes.
And no, I
America.
don't know about Chair Gull yet. I heard Monkey talking about this. I can't. I wasn't able to find the article or the casting call. But apparently he was talking about how he saw this casting call for, you know, like 500 people to be in, like, you know, riot gear or blah, 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 militaristic gear for a LARPing session type thing that was in Richmond, Virginia. There's all these little nuggets of rumor out there on the interweb about this, and I hope to look past it. I hope it's nothing more than just rumor and hearsay and people trying to stoke the fires, because if this thing explodes, it's not going to be good for anybody.
This is another area where you can really point out the Democrats' hypocrisy, because whenever they talk about gun rights, they're like, oh, it's the right of the militia to own guns and not the people, considering that the words "the people" is specifically in there. They talk about it's the militia's right to own guns, and then whenever there's a militia, wherever there's a militia, Democrats are like, oh God, the evil militia. The militia's terrifying. Look at that militia over there. They're gonna try and kill your children. Nah.
Yeah,
no,
there's a lot of contradiction there.
Yeah, every single instance where a person, by their own logic, should be able to own a gun, there's another cutout. And so there is no legal instance, according to them, where a person should be willing to own a gun. Therefore, the Second Amendment should be abolished, according to these people. And they can say that's not what they're about, but in practice, that's what they're about.
And here too, Arms Killa. In fact, gun violence on the whole has actually gone down in Toronto and in places in Canada. Big urban areas, but gun violence is illegal gun violence is still a big problem.
I think you are beating New York in Toronto, actually.
What?
Don't you?
What?
In terms of violent crime.
No, hell no.
Yes, you do.
But we have very stringent laws about guns. Is my point. Is like, yeah, just like England. They have very stringent gun laws. People still find a way to do crazy shit. It's not the guns. The guns are just the tools. Education. Education is the best counter to all of this. Don't allow that 12-year-old boy living in Mississippi to grow up to think that that's his only out, is to sell drugs and keep strapped and be a tough guy and kill his competition or anybody who steps on his block. No, that's not the way. Educate him that, yeah, we have school. You can go to school for free. You can learn. You can get out of that life and make a decent life for yourself. You don't need to shoot people.
The problem is not just that. The problem is that it's not just education.
Not just that. I'm just saying it's a contributing factor that we can use to battle gun violence.
It's also culture in general.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember Satsu talking about how, like, there were kids at his school, black kids at his school, where if you were basically too smart, too educated, and you showed up and you did all this stuff, you were compared to white people.
Oh, I had that in my school
kind of a negative.
I mean, it was mostly white people. Like, if you tried hard and you were successful in school, you'd be bullied all to hell. Because you're a nerd, you're a geek, you're the other.
Yeah, and that continues to this day.
Yeah.
So even though the education is there, it is highly stigmatized not to get educated.
Well, you have class in esports now, so it's a two-pronged attack. You got actual class to be an esports person. Playing fucking video games is a degree now.
Right?
That's thinking.
But, you know, anything to make a buck. So to change gears, Canadian scientists trace second strange radio signal to nearby galaxy. So we found this weird signal coming from, I forget where, but it's a nearby galaxy. We heard this. It was a pattern. It wasn't just, your typical chaotic background radiation. It is a pattern that we haven't deciphered, obviously. But in addition to the radiation waves or whatever, it's also how they're traveling is very specific. So we recently the first one was reported in 2007, and we just found again last week that a second signal, not the same pattern as the first, but the same markers of repetition, of almost like musical or language in some way that we can't decipher, is coming from the exact same place. I'm getting fucking goosebumps just now talking about it, because this is something I've always been super fascinated with, is the development of the universe as a whole. Like, are we really an anomaly in the universe, or is there other highly intelligent species that have evolved in the rest of the universe in other pockets that have dominion and the power of invention and all these things, that maybe they know that we're here too. Maybe they're sending it out into the universe. Who knows? But they're trying to communicate like we are when we send out, super long range satellites and stuff. Really, really cool shit. And, part of the national pride that I have for Canada is really cool that our Canadian scientists have been finding these signals and are studying them. Oh my God, I can't wait to see what sort of comes out. Adam, how you doing, bud? What sort of things come of this? Because, oh man, if you listen to the actual intellectuals of our society, the Steven Pinkers, the actual astrophysicists, not just the entertainer scientists like Black Science Man, they will tell you. Neil Tyson. They will tell you that no, by most logical likelihood, if we find another species that can either do such long-range communications through whatever means, or traveling by whatever means, they're not going to be here to threaten us. We won't have anything they want. Unlike in movies where they're after our water, they're after this resource or that resource, the universe has so much more water or iron or gold or whatever than we have on our crusty little ball we call Earth. Our fucking asteroid belt alone that follows Saturn in our own solar system has more precious, what we consider precious minerals, than we do on the entirety of Earth. So no, alien visits by 99.9999% of all likelihood will not be a violent culling or invasion. It'll probably be us getting to a certain point and then technologically and socially saying, oh, well, this seems to be an intelligent species, we should contact them.
What about the Andromeda strain? What if the aliens bring a virus with them?
Well, then we'll so what? I mean,
something that could potentially kill off all of humanity.
Well, potentially kill off.
I have news for you. There's already alien coming in and then transmitting disease right now.
like a silicon-based life form, something we've hypothesized about, but we don't have any proof of. A silicon-based virus, yes, would kill the entire species off. In a very great likelihood. We're talking. I don't know the exact numbers, 60-70% chance it could kill us off outright. However, in, again, most likely case scenario, it'll be another something similar to like the Indians, where, yes, huge chunks of the population will die because of this weird alien virus, but we will eventually create a vaccine, or we will adapt, and we will be decimated, but the human species will go on. It is definitely a something to consider, and something that I would hope that the governments of our world and whoever makes contact with them,
the governments of our world are the ones creating the.
No, but I'm saying when they were to meet physically face to face, that there would be some sort of quarantine system and, checks and balances in place to make sure something like that doesn't happen from either side. So that maybe our common cold would be deathly infectious to the alien visitors. It could go either way, and I'm sure that we're intelligent enough to realize that, so that they would be intelligent to realize that, so that if there was a face-to-face contact, they would sort of keep that quarantined, and then when the meeting ends, take them away again, quarantine, have them both checked out to make sure that maybe our saliva, maybe their saliva, maybe skin cells, any one of these things could be toxic to the other, even though we may come from a similar carbon-based, oxygen-breathing kind of atmosphere, But you are right. Anyway, this really had me really fucking just up and getting my nipples all hard.
This is why we need Space Force, folks.
Yeah.
No, definitely why we need
preemptive strike. Nobody's gonna strike us.
We need Space Force because of China.
Also, they are aliens.
Yeah. Like illegal aliens. So, other big, I guess you call it weather news, was there was a big avalanche because of extreme snowfall in St. John's, Newfoundland, where friend of the show, is originally from. They got hit bad by this snow. And an avalanche literally covered this neighborhood in Battery, St. John's. Unfortunately, no one was injured. Only one house had some serious damage. Again, it was just freshly fallen snow, so it wasn't really heavy. It was a light snow, and so it just covered shit. It didn't really do whole lot of damage, but holy shit, imagine opening your door and seeing this.
Well, you say, I'm not going to work today, and put the beer there so it stay cold.
Yeah, luckily you bought some beer. As you can see, or you will be able to see in the stream in a second, it's a cliffside community, not a very big one, and I think
functional.
I think it was the bottom house that got damaged. What's up?
I actually have to bow out now because I'm getting the dinner bell over here, and the dinner bell waits for nobody.
Oh, you have a good point, because I have pizza waiting. We've been going for a while, but thanks again for joining us. Yeah,
no problem.
Just interrupt me next time. Don't message me on Discord. I don't look at Discord when I'm streaming.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling, but I figured I'd give it a try.
I'm just giving you the heads up.
Sir,
have full. He's having burritos. You have full warrant to interrupt me at any time, just like anybody on the show has full warrant to interrupt me, because I tend to bloviate a little bit.
Hey!
Not you.
It works.
The rules for regular people do not apply to the French. Fuck off.
Okay. Well, thank you again for having me on. I appreciate getting to.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Have a great night. Bon appetit. And guys, watch Jackbox Games Tuesday nights. Last week's couples show was really fun.
What
yeah, and
it's my Jack in the Box.
And I hope to have you on again as soon as possible, Functional.
Anytime.
So, good night, everybody.
Night, dude.
Later, Jack.
Have a fun
Later,
time
Jack.
eating your burritos.
Thank you very much, sir.
You kind of saved my ass, because we both know I was kind of lost there for the first at least 20 minutes, and my brother legit thought that you guys thought I was a man for a second there.
I thought it was somehow reverbing my talking, because your brother and I have a sort of baritone male voice. So I'm like, is that me coming back through somehow? What's going on? But then he's like, hello, hello, hello. And I'm like, I didn't say that. So I kind of clued in. But yeah, Avalanche stuff. You know what? Oh, no, click the whitelist. No, I don't want to do that. Technical issue. Stop. Don't run blocks on this page. Thank you. Let me just quickly go through what articles I have, and because we're going to end it pretty soon. We'll talk about that one another day. Okay, so funny article. We'll talk about it on a future show. How Iron Brew. This is Scotland's national drink. Still outsells the global juggernaut of Coca-Cola in Scotland. We'll talk about that in future. What I do want to talk about, because it's kind of dated, Rocky Johnson, the father of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, passed away recently at the age of 75. He's he's a legend in the wrestling circuit. You can see him here with Mean Gene Okerlund. Dude was a fucking beast in the ring. Really great showman. He's from Nova Scotia, so another homegrown Canadian boy. Sad news.
Samoan. He's not from. What the fuck are you talking about?
Rocky Johnson? No, he's
Rocky
black.
Johnson is
his wife is
Samoa.
Ethnically, yeah, but he's a Canadian citizen.
Oh,
I think he was
in a James Bond
and
movie,
he himself was born in Nova Scotia. His wife is Samoan. I don't know if she was born here or immigrated or where he met her. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. He was, I mean, given his vocation, not really a young age, but at the ripe old age of 75. And I'm going to miss him. Not that he was in the limelight, but just that he was a huge part of my early childhood. And I was a huge wrestling fan back in the day. So
he's in the only fucking James Bond movie that I don't own on DVD, too.
Really? Which one?
You Only Live Twice, or Diamonds Are Forever.
Right. Yeah, he was, didn't he play Felix or something?
He played like a goon that like beat up
some, he was one of the goons. Okay, I thought he played Felix in one of them.
Well, the goons are like almost as important in James Bond. You know, you have the Jaws guy and the fucking guy with his fucking metal hat and shit.
So, I'm going to end us off on some funny stuff I was looking at. Jen, you might be able to relate with this. I'm sure it's come up already on your screen.
Yeah, I'm not recognizing anything, though.
The Cool Kid 90s... Cool Kid starter pack for the 90s? You didn't see the boys with their gay-ass Aaron Carter haircut? Oh, you even had that at some point. Although my hair was much longer than that, and it was usually some sort of weird color like fuchsia or aqua. I don't know. I did have the Discman, did have Evil Empire, wasn't big on the energy drinks or yo-yos, obviously went everywhere. I still go everywhere with my backpack. I do have a chain on my wallet. It's security. I don't know. I wasn't really into the big pants, but my friends definitely were. The L'Oreal...
The only thing missing is either a Korn album or a Limp Bizkit one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all the same sort of grunge era rock and roll, right? And as the stream catches up, the L'Oreal Kids No Tears shampoo, that shit was like acid. My parents never used it, but I heard horror stories. I've heard the horror stories. The 90s was gay, fight you. Well, sir, if you come to my neck of the woods, I challenge you as well to fighting. Let's use catfish. A duel with catfish. Yeah, a little Windows dealy. This one amuses me so much about the socks. Give it a second to catch up with your guys' viewing. It says today's kids will never know what it's like to have to create your own ankle socks, because ankle socks weren't really a thing outside of like specialty socks that cheerleaders wore. So they were very well, I'm not going to mince words. They're very gay looking. They usually had a pom-pom or something on it. But what gets me the most about this first picture is you can clearly see some fraying, which indicates like there's a hole on the sock. And that's when I would generally turn my socks, my tube socks, into ankle socks, is when I wore them so badly that there was a hole. So I just like fold them over. No, nobody ever did that.
Nope.
I don't know what this is. When you saw this, you knew the movie was going to be lit. I still don't even know what lit means. And I don't know what this is. It's probably Nickelodeon or something. Back to the haircuts. I think that's Aaron Carter or whatever his name is. What I thought it would look like versus what it actually looked like. No, it all just looked gay. Jen might have something to say about this. Today's kids will never know the struggle when you lose one of the pieces on these. And it's those, I'll give it a second for the stream to catch up. Those pens, they had the little, it was almost like a mechanical pen. It had those little cartridges that you'd push through. But of course,
the ones that change the color of the pen?
No, it's on the stream screen now.
I saw them. I never had them.
Okay, yeah, I got them in packs and stuff. They were really annoying because if you lose one of those cartridges, Elowen looks like she probably had these. Yeah, she's nodding. If you lose one of those cartridges, you can't push through to use the next cartridge. It was egregious. Next one is, oh God, what's that show? Magic School Bus. And the caption is, fuck a permission slip. We about to drop into this motherfucking volcano. Because they would just screw they would just go everywhere and anywhere, Next one, these kids these days will never know the struggle. And it's a picture of, again, give it a few seconds for it to catch up. Trying to fit a Discman into your jeans pocket. Windows going so absolutely bonkers that the windows, there it is catching up. The windows were getting all fucked up in this like MC Escher style.
It's great when you're stoned, by the way.
I was never into it. Roll up windows, and of course, Windows download speeds of, oh my God, you're getting 97 kilobytes a second? You must be rich. Kids these days will never understand, and it's basically just a picture of a blank CD, a DVD-R with all these songs being written on it because we had to make our own mixtapes. We couldn't just go to YouTube. The next one is so true. It says life before smartphones, and it's this stick figure of a dude looking at the Pantene bottle on the toilet as opposed to smartphones.
You're not being fair here, because this was also back when Napster was still a thing, and I know people who exploited that.
Yeah, no, people definitely did. But I mean, there were also people before that. What were people doing? They were recording shit on audio cassette off the radio. Yeah. Any way to be able to take your music with you. And with the digital revolution, it was a good thing because not only could people get the music they wanted when they wanted it, but the artists could also get paid for the music because of the freedom, the viability that technology had on the industry. It revolutionized it. But yeah, you're right. There were a lot of people who just abused the fuck out of it. I think the problem with people like Lars Ulrich and Metallica that they had with it is that they didn't have a way to monetize it. Well, motherfucker, if instead of suing the fuck out of Napster, maybe you could have gone in business with the guy and you would be the Apple iTunes instead of Apple becoming the iTunes, But yeah, this one, oh, love it. Looking at the bottle of shampoo while sitting on the toilet just to... Yeah, exactly. You had to have something to read, cynic. If you didn't have magazines in your bathroom, I always wondered about you as a person. Because what the hell are you doing on the toilet? You must either lead a very boring life or just me. I don't know. I don't know.
Be
dude.
really fast to the shitter.
Yeah. And even then, that must, dude, what's in your diet that you're shitting that fast? I grew up with no internet starter pack. So you have, Windows Solitaire, Windows Pinball, Windows Paint, Minesweeper. God, I remember playing that while sitting in the kitchen as a kid, waiting for dinner to be ready at like my aunt's house or at my house or whatever. The next is a picture of a disposable Kodak camera. Kids today will never know what it was like to take a ton of pictures and have to wait a week to find out they were useless.
Oh, they still use it. They still have them today.
Yeah, but
Of course, they are
companies
like out of style.
Companies like Kodak who haven't gone the digital route are going the way of the caveman. Even Kodak, their what's it called? Market share has diminished significantly. Even though they have kept up with the times, they offer a lot of digital services, digital cameras, all that kind of stuff. I just thought it was funny because, yeah, how many times did I go to a rave or a party or camping or something to realize that 80% of my pictures were absolute garbage? You tend to clog the toilet in under 5 seconds, Green Thunder. Dude, we're going to have to talk after the show. You might need to see a doctor.
His name is Green Thunder. We know where he get his name.
That's the Green Thunder. Oh, it's all coming together. And this is how you get green dogs. Poop.
See, this is what happens when you do what my brother did and you eat a family-sized box of, like, Raisin Bran. you clog your toilet.
Green Thunder's just grooming his cat, and he's got all this hair going through him. Anyway, texting.
Oh, I remember those.
Yes, texting in the 90s was the best form of communication. Of course, you had a certain distance, usually your lunchroom or your classroom, where you'd flick these. You'd either toss them or pass them along or what have you.
Whip them.
Or whip them or use them as. You remember the little football thing where you'd flick them?
I knew girls, and yes, most of them were Asian, who would make little stars out of them. They were a pain in the dick to take apart.
Dude, I made the best fucking throwing stars. They did damage. They were just paper. I didn't have to reinforce them or anything. They were just paper. They did a fuck ton of damage to people. But when I got older and less wise, as a mid-teenager, I started putting things like needles in them in the ends, or razor blades, or metal reinforcements inside to make them do even more damage. I was not a smart man as a teenager. I fully admit that. Thankfully, I grew up and I didn't. No, I can't say that. I did do harm to people. Whatever. You live and you learn. When it was time to watch a movie in school, you'd have to wheel in the cart with the one TV for 12 classrooms or 20 classrooms. With the cart usually had more than one VCR because more often than not, I know in my personal experience, the teacher would dub movies as they would play them for the class. No experience with that in school, Jen?
No.
And I did, but it's not worth it.
I think the most weirdest thing I ever did, I was in art class and I was about ready to start drawing whatever the teacher was telling us, and for some reason my hand just decided to launch my pen behind me. I have no idea what was going on. It was literally like a tick or something.
Ghosts.
And I just whipped my pencil behind me, and I hit the poor kid in the forehead right behind me too. And I'm just like, I don't know what the hell that was.
So the next thing is how they dress girls today versus how they dress me. And yeah. People in the 70s and 60s, late 60s, 70s, 80s, like what the fuck were you thinking dressing like that and making your kids dress like that?
Their parents were evil and they thought it was cute.
I guess.
I was dressed, I swear to God, when I was like a little boy, I was red hair. and I had the same fucking outfit as the Chucky doll. The good guy
man.
doll. With the overalls and shit.
And this one just reminds me of Ghostbusters. Yeah, Elwin. Don't complain about your research project. This was my Google. And yes, when I had to do my fucking thesis, when I had to go through high school, college, everything, oh my god, this was so fucking annoying. Thankfully, you know, my teenage years is when the internet started becoming a thing. So there was a weird amalgamation of needing to use a lot of these card catalogs, hard copy catalogs versus the internet. And it was very limiting in what kind of research you could find on the internet, and then have to deal with the validity or lack of with such research. Oh my gods. It was a pain in the ass. Gives me so much more respect for people who went through the system before the aught age, the modern age, the information age, because of the fact you actually had to put in work, legwork, reading work, everything to do any sort of research project.
Yeah, they were a pain in the dick. I remember that.
Yeah, Cynical Lindsay, I don't know why, but my parents always liked putting me in velveteen sort of tracksuits. Those weird velour tracksuits. I don't know. Maybe it was a Russian thing? I don't know.
Tracksuits always cool, okay?
Hey,
Makes
Ethan
you
Pricked.
like an athletic guy even if you're not.
Who remembers unfolding the cassette insert to read the lyrics? I do. Oh man, the first cassette that I was gifted, that I actually owned, that was mine, was, I want to say it was like 1987 or 88, and you guys nobody will guess in a million years what it was. First off, Elwin, go, guess. Hurry up, guess. My first audio cassette.
Your first audio cassette?
Just guess.
Weird Al.
Weird Al, no. Magic.
You seem like Madonna type of guy.
Close. Close, because I'm a huge Madonna guy, but it wasn't my first cassette. No. Jen.
Michael Jackson.
Wrong. It was Bobby fucking Brown. Okay? Yes, I'm completely embarrassed by that fact.
That's okay.
Queen. No? Okay.
Madonna.
Oh, see, Elwin's was Madonna, her first audio cassette. And of course, with a lot of music, sometimes you might not know the entire lyrics. Like, there have been entire songs. I've gone decades thinking, oh, this is the lyrics. But in actuality, the information age, I re-Googled the lyrics one day. I'm like, really? Those were the fucking lyrics? Jesus, what is wrong with me? Yeah, Cynic, my first computer was a Mac Classic. So I didn't even have the fortunate ability that the 2E had of having its own hard drive. You had to use a floppy drive to boot it, and then to run the operating system, and then any programs. Anyway, the next one is the expectation versus reality trope of, you remember inflatable furniture? No? Silence? Crickets?
Oh, yeah, I knew people who had moved out at that point who used that as beginner furniture, and I was like, that's not gonna last very long.
I know I did, and it was, the only reason was because it was cheaper than IKEA.
Yes.
The only reason you bought that shit was because it was cheaper than IKEA, and IKEA is dirt fucking cheap, but when you first move out, you're poorer than poor in most cases. So yeah, the expectation is, oh, you're just going to lounge around in your inflatable chair and footrest. And the reality is it's going to be deflated. As soon as you inflate it, it's going to be a miserable piece of shit.
I just got hand-me-down furniture from my parents, because once we moved out, they were like, yes, we could finally get rid of all this shit we don't want anymore.
That is kind of lucky. I also had that, but it was more so because at the time my mother was being hospitalized, so me and the rest of the kids My eldest sister, in fact, got was the executor of the estate, so she got the pick and choose of what she wanted first. But for the most part, it was a silver lining that I got some pretty decent secondhand furniture that lasted me quite a while in my fledgling leaving the nest stage. And yeah, Kyler, Mac was the first home PC available, really. I eventually grew up and got an IBM. Yes, a traditional IBM computer. But I went through Macs first. Around the time that I wired my school with Ethernet, this 16-year-old kid doing the job of a contractor to wire, they rewarded me, and it was something I wanted to do because, as I mentioned before in previous streams, we used to have massive LAN parties with the school computers because they were super expensive back then. We're talking, $20,000 for a fucking computer that was a piece of shit by today's standards. Even by yesterday's standards is a piece of shit. No hard drives? Are you kidding me? So in recognition and to reward me for doing that, they hooked me up with a Linux CGI machine. And this is we're talking like a $40,000 machine that in the earliest stages of CGI rendering could actually handle this. We're talking like a professional Hollywood level machine that I wasted on porn and video games. Kind of like what I do today. No, not really. Excuse me while I ignite my medicine.
The inflatable chairs, the one that I'm missing, though, the beanbag chairs. No, those, on the other hand, were actually
But those
not
worked.
bad.
Those worked, yes. I will admit. And when you had a friend that had one, oh my god, it was delightful. Oh, hi, Ophelia, the happy red panda. You're new. Welcome, welcome. And Mr. Dax has arrived. Welcome.
Hi, Mr. Dax!
And I don't know if you heard me earlier, T, but I said hello. The smell of these was heavenly. Now, I will say that video cassette smell, that new video cassette smell, was, yes, very heavenly. But Disney movies, these white plastic cases had a specific smell to them. It was really weird. It was almost like they drugged putting my tinfoil hat on for a second, it was almost like they drugged the Disney movies to just be, so much more sweeter, or just sent them so that it was just more, I don't know. But yes. Yeah, Kyler, because I never really did anything with it, even though looking back on, not to say I regret much in my life, because I don't. I still appreciate everything that's happened in my life. That maybe if I took the route of maybe doing more in the realm of actual work on video games as opposed to just playing them, that maybe I might have had a little bit of a different vocation in life, and I could have still ended up where I am today, but maybe I would have had a little bit more fun in the process of doing the video game stuff. You never know. I don't know. I always thought that when I was a kid, I wanted to work in movies and film. Do some acting, but more so creating scripts and really cool movies. As I want to say I was probably about 13 at the time. Right after Aliens came out, I wrote an entire trilogy, a screen treatment for the entire trilogy of Alien movies post Aliens. And it would deal with, it would actually in the second movie introduce the Predators. But it would deal, the overarching theme to connect the trilogy together was this woman, this new character. She was a woman who finds Hicks. Remember Hicks? Michael Biehn from Aliens? And how she tracks him down is that she becomes part of the Predator culture because she's such a great warrior. We're talking, you know, almost an Amazonian style woman. Like, she's big, she's strong, even by, you know, human standards, very weak compared to, you know, Predator standards, but is a competent hunter. So she gets taken in and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, not to get too sidetracked. Kind of relating back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, Jen, this is what happens when kids grow up and get adult money. You know, they get their neon green motorcycle and wear a Power Ranger costume. Oh, really, Kyler? That was, yeah. There were times where I didn't have it, didn't grow up with much money, but like I said, through my own perseverance, my own hard work and scavenging for parts, I eventually got them and really took to them. Like, I understood computers than I understood people most of the time. Sorry, I just need to have a little drink. Oh man, the smell of pizza in my apartment's killing me. Yeah, talking about the CD thing, you know, perfectly tapes, Chumbawamba off radio. DJ talks through last 5 seconds. Again, trying to record a full song off the radio was hell. But it was the only way that we could get the music we wanted to listen to it when we wanted to. Singles and stuff like that. Yeah. Multiplayer in the 90s. Yeah, multiple people playing off of one keyboard to play like Commander Keen and stuff. Oh my god. So annoying. So glad we're in the day we are now where we can play over vast networks without having to play on the same system. Even consoles. Remember playing on, you know, N64's big thing was you could play 4 people on a single console. GoldenEye, that was fucking killer. Nowadays, oh man, you have to stream snipe a bitch to get that kind of advantage. Of course, today's kids will never know you could end a motherfucker's life with one of these. And either of you ever do this in school? I know I did. We built... Oh my god, one time we actually in shop class built a ballista that could shoot a paper, what we called them paper darts. And it would go through fucking plastic. It would go through, like, very thin sheet plastic, but it would go through or embed itself into sheet plastic or sheet metal. Oh my god, they were deadly. No? Never put the elastic on your fingers and found weird ways of shooting these little paper darts at people? Oh my god, I am old.
Yeah, I could see that. League of kids just killing each other with fucking paper.
Like I said, kids are stupid. They do stupid things. It's not like literally you're going to kill someone with that. Yes, it was dangerous. You probably could put somebody's eye out. But most of the time we'd be shooting for, if we are shooting for the head, the back of people's heads. Or a lot of the time we were shooting for asses. Like, we'd try to shoot people when they weren't looking in the ass. Because we at least knew it's a big fleshy bit that, yeah, you're going to be sore for the rest of the day when you sit down. That's the long-lasting kind of pain that you kind of go, yeah, motherfucker, you got that shit. Shoelace darts too, yes. Oh, if you did the ones with the staples, get them lodged into the skin. Cynic, again, I made these origami ninja stars and put like push pins in the pins from the push pins in the tips. I got it stuck in a teacher's fucking forehead once. Oh man, I was suspended for 2 weeks. Again, to the days, the difference in days, it's not like I'm that old. I'm only 40, but when I was in school, I literally assaulted a teacher with a semi-deadly weapon. I got 2 weeks suspension. Today, that kid would be fucking yeeted into the sun. And of course, people on Twitter would be like, there'd be huge wars on both sides, but you know, one side would be like, we must crucify this child and then burn him at the stake. He's fucking Satan. And other people would be like, boys will be boys. He's stupid. He's a kid. He's fucking 7 years old. He made a mistake. Is he sorry? Yes. Now, do we have to watch him? And if he does something like that again, then maybe take some steps further? But no. Shut up, Magic. I know you're going to say something. This is why I have to stop and think before pressing X. Yes, god damn it. The layout for all these controllers, as you can see, well, the Nintendo controller is always a retarded one. That's the GameCube. Next we have PlayStation, which had it at the bottom, was X. In Xbox, it was the left button that was X. And on Nintendo, Super Nintendo, X was on the top. So it was always, okay, wait, what game system am I playing? Oh, right. And controller, right. Okay, X. Oh my god. That's why I hated playing with my sister, because she always had to look at her controller to pick the button. She always got confused enough as it is, even though playing the same system over and over and over again, she still had to look. It was even worse when I would go from Nintendo to Xbox, and then she would be like, oh my god. And she was also, oh my god, I hate to harp on my sister, nothing but love her, she's my fucking sister, but she would be one of those people who would physically move the controller and be like, jump, jump, you know, playing Mario Brothers, like throw the controller almost into the air violently to get him to jump higher. Like, it's not how this fucking works. Stop doing that. You're gonna break my fucking controllers. I love the N64 controller. What are you talking about? You probably just tried to shove it up your ass, Scotty. That's your problem.
Yeah, see, I never had this problem with the pants because my mom
Nope.
always hemmed my pants.
And I really never wore them that fat. I mean, I did have baggy pants, but they usually had drawstrings at the end so I could turn them into shorts at a day's notice. That is how you knew that a motherfucker was a excuse me, hardcore raver. Was that they were adaptable like that shit, because raves were fucking dirty business back in the day. Jeans with flip-flops. Well, you're Australian, so I can't really judge past that. Yeah, how kids from the 90s know Michael Jordan versus how kids know Michael Jordan today, being the pinnacle athlete he was versus some crying bitch. The cartoons that we watched when we didn't have cable, we'd watch on public access. So we'd have things like Zoomboomafoo, Arthur, Clifford. I don't know what this one is with the dragons and the Asian-looking kids. I don't know. Do you remember Zoomboomafoo, Magic?
Zoomboomafoo, of course I remember him. And his cringe rap was amazing.
It was so bad, but it was, oh my god, kids shows, and in French.
Smoking joints while you do it.
Oh, I didn't need to, because I would just laugh at, because I had no idea what they were saying. I didn't speak French.
It was great.
Oh, of course, in almost every doctor's waiting room, you'd have this weird bead connection thing. And kids would fucking fight, like fist fight over playing with that shit. Oh my god. Oh, this one's hilarious because, yes, this one affected me quite greatly as well. You have not experienced true fear until a poster has fallen down in the middle of the night. And once there we go, caught up. You can see, you have the Saved by the Bell poster, the Jordan, the Rocky, the wrestling poster of Hulk Hogan. It was terrifying because you'd have it up and it would suddenly, you'd have this huge like crashing sound of the paper, and you'd wake up like in a cold sweat going, oh my god, the alien's attacking? Or, oh my god, are the Mogwai coming to get me? Or, oh my god, is the seventh son child or Chucky or Magic dressed like Chucky coming to get me? I don't know if I was a huge artist, but I always threw my pencils I threw them out way before it ever got to this point. I did know some people who were incredibly...
on purpose.
I knew some kids who were like extremely cheap or poor, and I guess by necessity had to be cheap, who did that. But I mean, like, pencils weren't that hard to get. Yeah, they weren't really that hard to get. Like, excuse me, Jesus Christ, I haven't done anything. Ask your classmates for a pencil, or the teacher, or a pen. You'd usually get one. Oh God, I'm starting to get all verklempt. I think it's the poster thing really rekindled some ancient fears I had when I was a child. Shut up, Noof. Loudest noise in 90s stuff, Noof. Don't worry. And shut up, Elwin. It's not like you don't relate to all of this as well. Loudest noise ever. Yes, at the beginning of the movie when they had this THX thing, that was awful. Awful. I don't need to listen. Like, oh. Fuck you, and you fuck your damn THX sound logo. Jelly shoes. Did you ever wear jelly shoes? That's probably what Cynic is talking about when he means flip-flops. He wears like these jelly flip-flops, like to be stylish and no. But have you ever worn those jelly shoes, Jen? My sister did.
No.
Apparently Elwin did. Apparently they hurt like a bitch. Oh, the jingle should have also warned you it would burn the inside of your mouth. The bagel bites. Those were a huge thing back in the day.
They were good though, actually, especially if you did them if you were lucky enough to have a toaster oven at the time.
Yes, they were the best. I love those things. Elwin and I, when they go on sale, we'll still buy like 20 boxes of the motherfuckers, and they'll be gone within a week. Yeah, she's looking at me like, I personally like to put them in like a, big box of like 50 at a time in the oven. But they're good in a pinch as a snack just to nuke them. Sega. Yeah, that was. Yeah, no, I know, Cynic. I'm just trying to poke some fun. Yeah, the definition of swag in '99. It was always at least in my circles, because we were all nerdy fucking kids. Yeah, the niggas who were really flossing were the kids who had all the Pokemon cards and who had them all in the immaculate binder like this, and who, because of the fact that they had all these cards and were rich enough to afford them all, would just kick your ass every time you played them. The definition of pay to win. I used to play a whole shit ton of those stupid card games too. Pokemon and Digimon and Thisamon, and of course Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering was more my jam. I got out of it though, because again, it really, with all the expansion sets and certain cards losing value because the company would say, well, this is no longer tier 2 tournament legal, so you can't use that card, even though you have it and paid for it and own it. It's just hated it. Dax, that's why I would do anything and everything, from shoveling snow, delivering papers or flyers, walking grannies to the grocery store and carrying their groceries back. I would do anything and everything for a couple of bucks. Nothing like just to buy those Magic cards. Me, a blue player? No. Either a mono red deck or a thrall deck. So either red or red black or red black green, because I still had when I first started, I had all the Moxes, a Lotus, your pinnacle must have top tier Magic player thing. I don't fucking getting into Magic. But this one is dedicated to Elwin, because she's a fucking Tamagotchi. She's insane, guys. She still goes out and will buy the new Tamagotchis because she wants to I shouldn't say she's insane. She's passionate about her Tamagotchis. Everybody's got their thing, right? I never understood having these little virtual pets. Mostly because, again, as a kid, growing up around animals, whether they were cows, chickens, and horses and pigs and shit, or dogs and cats and birds, I always had that sort of connection with animals. I guess I didn't need the virtual connection, but I can understand the need to like want to take care of something, hence the need of girls having, Cabbage Patch dolls and baby dolls and blah, 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 blah. She killed your Tamagotchi? Yeah, Dax, I now that you mention it, that wording I used was maybe a little bit less than safe. Oh, Thalids were just a bitch move by Wizards of the Coast to say, oh yeah, you like your thralls? You like your white weenie deck? Well, we're going to give you a green weenie deck that's even more cancerous. Fucking Thalids. The feeling you had when you got these for lunch, what were they called? Snackables? Jackables?
We were too poor to order.
They had these sugar cookies with frosting and usually had the little colored sprinkles in the frosting, and then you would dip and eat them. They were so much sugar, and they were like...
icing. It's
yeah.
pretty much icing.
Well, I mean, even the cookies, like the entire thing is pretty much just all sugar. But their mascot was a Australian kangaroo, and I just found that was always so weird. I never could quite get right, mate, you're gonna buy this because it's got a kangaroo and I'm talking with an Australian accent. Like, why? Who are you marketing to? Of course, back to the Nintendo 64 issue, rule number 1 of GoldenEye. This is my house, so I'm player number 1. And I always get to play the character of Oddjob because I'm a cheap motherfucker. Yeah, of course, eagerly putting in the video and getting ready to watch. We're talking VHS and beta tapes here. Only to realize the last person who rented the movie didn't even rewind it. Those people are scum. Scummy scum. 50 Shades of Grey meme. I have a pleasure room. Do you want to see it? And of course, it's all this geeky memorabilia of, looks like it's all exclusively Power Rangers. And this guy looks like he's pretty, he's probably Asian. He's probably got no sex life. And he's got like every Power Ranger toy ever made ever. Dunkaroos! Yes, Cynic! Cynic, you are the fucking man. And that's about it for me. Go away. I hate you.
That's way too many Power Rangers. I didn't like that show because the beginner show had these guys with the putties with the little ball things on the end of their fingers.
Mm-hmm.
I just really wanted to hit them with a baseball bat.
Just be like, yeah, you've got those little soft ball things. I've got a baseball bat, motherfucker.
Yeah, I hated them so much. I couldn't. Anytime they'd appear, I was just like, okay, looking for any blunt object I can hit you in the head with for being stupid. And yes, yeah. And then it just kind of went weird from there. And I could appreciate other people's liking of it, like there was nothing overall wrong with it. It's just, it was a little too goofy for me. It was like, for that kind of age, time zone, it reminded me of the Godzilla of our times. Yeah, that's how I saw it.
I admit, I loved watching it. It was, this is, I mean, you were really limited on the entertainment you had, right? Like you had your judge. No. I look back at it now and I'm like, this was fucking terrible. It was stupid. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I just, you're limited in what you could watch. You could watch like G.I. Joe, and TV would tell you when and where you could watch these things.
Well, on the plus side,
we're actually just
MTV
wrapping up now, Jack.
actually, MTV had music back then.
Elowen makes a good point. It is a ripoff of Voltron. Now, if you were to insult Voltron, motherfucker, then we're gonna throw down, Jen. Then we're gonna throw down. But
What the fuck is the Voltron?
God.
oh my god, you uncultured swine.
I know Ultraman. Is he in the Ultraman universe?
I think he is. No, different anime. Different anime.
Ultraman was not an anime. It was a giant motherfucker running out of batteries, so he had to hurry up to kill the monsters.
Yeah, again,
What's the fucking
Noof, like Much Music, yeah, you were limited to what, like, oh my god, when Much Music had the after dark, like the like after 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, they'd play the really good music videos, the racier stuff. They'd play like Green Jellies. Little pig, let me in. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. Those kinds of videos. Oh, that was great. Thanks, Dax. I'm glad somebody appreciated it, because, you know, it's one of those things where you see through your gay-ass social media feed. Again, Facebook for me, because I generally just use it to stay in touch with family. And they'll post something stupid like that, and I kind of go, yeah, that's kind of fun and cute, and, you know, just wanted to talk about it with people I thought would be a little bit more receptive, but I guess Magic's too much of a fetus, and Jen is from a different universe or something. I don't know.
Look, all I've got to say is listen.
Yes, when Weird Al would take over Much Music, Noof. Ah! I probably still have them on VHS. I recorded them faster than, like, I was ready weeks in advance, knowing, like, this is the videotape I'm recording it on. I would write in black magic marker so my fucking cunt sister wouldn't take it to record her fucking gay ass music, or my mom or whoever. Oh my god, and if they did, oh god, there would be hell to pay.
All I've got to say is re-listen to Korn Freak on the Leash. It's a pretty good song, actually.
Oh, such a great album.
Well, I don't know about the album, but that song in particular is like a double meaning. I never got it when I was little. So.
Feeling like a freak on a leash.
It's talking about the story of being a bullet. It's amazing. Listen to it.
Feeling like I have no release.
Nothing in my life is free. It's amazing. I love it.
Is free.
I love it.
Something
Anyway.
takes a part of me. Okay, yeah. Enough of that.
We're good.
Yeah, I won't want to pick my... That was a little embellished. My throat's getting there. It's coming to the end of the stream. Thank you, everybody, my guests, my special guest, Jackgunski, who once again, at the drop of a hat, is a true gentleman, scholar, gentleman of leisure, if you will, to come to my rescue when my co-host was having some technical issues. And coming to my rescue when I'm not having technical issues with my co-host, but just being a good personality to have on the stream every now and then. So thank you, Jack. Thank you, Caligula, for once again adding your delicious brand of comedy to the stream. Any parting words?
Fuck you.
Buy me dinner first, at least, faggot. And
Nothing in my life is for free.
for free. Feeling like I have no release. I did it all for the nookie. Come on, the nookie. Anyway, Jen,
Sticking up my pants. Sticking up my pants.
And Jen,
Wait.
who was late because of technical difficulties. Yes, I will
It
be
happens.
back. We will be back on Tuesday, probably Thursday, but you know, Thursdays at this point are kind of like meh if we want to.
It's Saturday, so we'll be back Tuesday, not Thursday. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I said
with
Tuesday,
me,
and then I said Thursday.
oh well, I just wasn't listening then. Sorry. It's
Yes.
just how I was born. I was born this way.
Selective hearing.
Yeah.
Oh boy, he's Lady Gaga right now.
Poker face, my poker. But yes, the reason why this weekend was so weird was I was dealing with quite the case of illness, as well as with that came a really fucked up sleeping schedule, to where we did a stream on Tuesday, and then I took a nap and then fell asleep for like 14 hours. Really wasn't taking a nap, but fell asleep, and then woke up and thought it was Tuesday again. I was having a real Bill Murray moment, and so I was like freaking out, like, "Where's Jen? Where's Jen? Oh my god, I gotta set up the stream because it's her day, but she's not around, so I gotta." And I was kind of having a little bit of a panic attack. It was funny when I actually realized, oh god, it's Wednesday halfway through the stream. Oh, thanks, Adam. You should come on next on Tuesday.
Yes, if you're around
Let's
on
have
Tuesday.
debate. Let's put this shit on fire. Bring some cats and boobs. It's gonna augment our views.
Shut up, you've already had your last words. Go fuck yourself. So on that note, I'm gonna play us out. We've been your Snow Mexicans for this evening. Thank you for joining us. Come again soon. Thank you. Come again. Now, if I wasn't so a boomer